Welcome to the Westmarch workshop. You may not know it, but you're cordially invited to attend our birthday party, which is happening right now. It's happening.
Yay!
Yes, that's right. The workshop recently turned 2 years old, and we are celebrating the only way we know how, by taking Wednesday night to geek out over the latest and greatest Diablo news. Before we dig into all of the presents that Blizzard so kindly dropped off for us to unwrap with you, we'd like to take a moment to thank all of you, our dear listeners. Whether you've been with this show since episode 1, or you're listening to our mellifluous voices for the first time right now, we couldn't have made it through the last 2 years without all of you writing in, hanging out in the clam chat, in the voice chats, meeting us at BlizzCon. However you participated, it was awesome. I believe it goes without saying, but we'll say it anyway. You all truly make this an absolutely satisfying experience, and we hope to be able to keep entertaining you with many more future episodes to come. So, without further ado, let's do what we always do and start the show.
Do that voodoo that you do so well.
Indeed, good sir. Mr. Nineball, you have any additional words to add for the people? Or
Uh,
two?
yeah, just to follow up with that, I mean, it's just again, thank you everybody that's been going through and listening and making this show happen. Because obviously, it wouldn't we would just be crazy if it was just the two of us that got onto Twitch and talked to one another for 2 hours every Wednesday night, in front of no one.
I mean, as far as the iTunes listeners go, they might honestly believe that that's the case. We
It
just talk up these numbers all day long, but there's really just us here.
it could be. It could be. We could just like for the people that are on iTunes or even the ones on YouTube, they don't even know. We could just be like pretending that we're doing this live and that we're taking comments from chat when we're just kind of like passing a note back and forth to each other. It's like, ooh, say that this comment is from somebody in chat. Yeah.
But that would be crazy, and we're certainly not crazy, right?
Totally not. We are not insane. You have
Oh.
to believe us, people. You have to believe us.
And also, speaking of the clam chat, I do want to note that Longshot says he wants cake, and I want to let him know that I titled the document that I typed that intro in "Cake." Like, no joke. I could take a screenshot.
Pixar didn't happen, but then of
Exactly.
course, when you provide pics, they were photo shooped.
Photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
And Longshot also has a question: Who hosted the most? These two, Leviathan's dog, or Jar Jar?
Well, I think it's all one and the same.
Isn't it?
The
That's the
grand
secret.
conspiracy.
It is. They just don't know it yet. Even though we've
It's
told them, they've forgotten and have to be reminded every episode.
the MIB effect, right? Like, whenever we finish a show, it clears their memories.
Exactly. There's a little like flash in audio form, if that makes sense, at the end of every episode.
Now you're really giving away all the secrets. Abort, abort.
Abort. We'll just do the flash now and we'll start over. I'll go back to the intro screen and you redo the intro.
Perfect.
Okay. Starting now. No, just kidding. But man, just it seems like 2016 is the year of our bane, or the bane of us, or something like that. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's like we just continuing this theme of either one of us not being able to show up or both of us not being able to show up or something along those lines.
And it will continue. It's just the year of consistent inconsistency. I don't know. I
Yes.
feel like I jinxed it, at least for myself, when I was like, one of my New Year's resolutions to be consistent. And
Well, you're
I,
being consistent with your inconsistency.
yeah, it wasn't. It's like when you make a wish, but the genie tricks you because you're like, you said this,
Mhm.
but you weren't specific enough in what you actually wanted.
Yep. And to kind of like highlight what Leviathan was just saying, there are spoilers for everybody. There won't be an episode next week. Sorry. So sorry. I will not be able to make it due to a work engagement.
Whoops.
Whoops. Yep. So 2016 will continue to trudge along with inconsistency. We should I think I already have an idea for the title of episode 100.
I
In-
like it.
Inconsistency. It took us longer than expected, but we finally got here.
It seems appropriate.
Yep, and an extremely long title. But yeah, so tell us, how have you been? What have you been up to, especially since you weren't here last week? Let us know.
So last week I was intending to talk all about the PTR because I had spent a decent amount of time on there, as you were mentioning on that episode. Playing a DH. I went and since season six had started on the PTR for them to test the rollover and all that good stuff, I wanted to check out, kind of get a heads up on, what the initial gearing process would be like, even though it's a little inflated on PTR since the legendary drop rate's crazy high.
Hmm.
So you're not going to get a good sense of what 1 through 70 will be like since you have way more legendaries. And then even past 70, like you're already sitting on a bunch of stuff anyway. But getting Marauders as your Hedri's gift is pretty sweet. Like even though it's not your fastest speed running set by any means for Demon Hunters, it still kills so like expediently that
Hmm.
it works almost the same. Just because as long as you're on the appropriate difficulty as you gear up, you should be overkilling everything. Like once you get all your sentries laid down, and the fact that they have AI of their own to fire when you fire, they're going to pick up enemies in the rift that you're not aiming at. So in a way, you're clearing faster than you might, even if you were just aiming all your multi shots with a UE set.
Hmm.
So, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna follow up on that. It's not just that, but it's like you're gonna its power is amazing. It's gonna get you to the Torment 10 easily into the 50s just by throwing it together, and a few off pieces to get that EU set. Or so that way you can, or UE set, sorry,
The
European
Europe set,
Union, yeah, European Union, Unhallowed Essence, same difference. It's all the same.
both very powerful.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. To our allies on the other side of the pond, but um, I felt like that is going to be a lot better, especially if you're a solo player. Like when we were going through and leveling, the shadow set was really nice when we were together because you were clearing and going and killing all of the regular mobs, and then I would just finish off the elites and the Rift Guardian like it was nothing. And then as soon as that I went to go and play by myself, it's like, oh, this is painful.
Yeah.
I need multi shot. Somebody, you know. But with
Yeah.
the
No,
Marauders,
that's
it's like a much well-rounded set, especially for those starting off.
yeah, that's good stuff. That's definitely very true. Um, and what else did I do? So I tried out the conquest because you needed to do a conquest to get to the conqueror part of the seasonal journey.
Hmm.
Since I wanted to get like the info on that for you, and I did the cursed chest one, and the area that we go to, the secret area for the secret cursed chest, is
Dun
still
dun
very good,
dun.
doable solo, no problem. Um, and that was last, so that was kind of like last week's update, right? And then
Hmm.
last week slash this week, um, I fell into a rut, honestly. Like between just kind of being tired from work and all sorts of stuff and running and different things like that. Whenever I got home, I just didn't really feel like playing Diablo, so I had to find like a new way to get the motivation to play. And early in the season, because you had Masters of the Universe for the conquest, you had to do 8 set dungeons. I had done a majority of the barbarian ones, all the crusader ones, and one of the or two of the DH ones. I think I did a few of the DH after I had done the conquest anyway. So
Hmm.
it's like I have half of these done. I should just go and do the other set dungeons. And I was able, as of last Saturday, to master all the set dungeons. And let me tell you, that was an interesting experience because I haven't played like Wizard and Witch Doctor, I don't think since ROS.
Wow.
Like I still have achievements that say finish Act 5 as a wizard, finish Act 5 as a witch doctor.
I think despite the fact that I do now have like a level 70 wizard, I think I still have that achievement I need to complete because it reset. Even though I had credit for killing Diablo, it didn't give you credit for finishing Act 4.
Oh yeah, I think I
Yeah.
probably have the same situation too. Yeah. No, it's weird, man. But I will say so, one of the things that we've kind of seen on the show for the past few weeks now is people writing in saying they either love or hate set dungeons, right?
Hmm.
And it was really interesting to have that in the back of my mind as I was going through and doing all of them, just because I feel like each class certainly has it kind of ranges in a way that I think Blizzard did on purpose. So I think each class has a very easy one, like two medium ones, and a very difficult one. Because
Hmm.
across the board, there was always one set that just seemed like so hard to get the objectives done. If it was Witch Doctor, which actually I think Witch Doctor probably has the easiest sets of set dungeons. Jade Harvester was annoying just because of the invisible snakes,
Yep.
or Juliana's was super tough because it was really hard to get the right groups. It's like super RNG. Um, Wizard was probably Firebird just because you had to lower your DPS enough.
Up.
My mic for there, sorry.
Yep. You cut out a little bit there.
But what was this saying? Oh, Wizard, like Wizard, maybe Firebird was one of the more difficult ones, or even like I don't know. There's just different reasons why they were all difficult, but they're all doable, which is interesting. So even though the complaints are out there that they just suck, or for whatever reason people haven't been as hyped about them as maybe they first were when they were introduced, I don't know. I think maybe you would gain an appreciation for them if you tried them on different classes when you got frustrated with a certain class.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I what I actually really liked, and what now that I'm like trying to get into the head of the developers when they're making these, I think maybe one of the things that they had in mind was the set dungeons in general are a way to expose you to different classes and different sets, like different modes of playing. Because I hadn't tried, like I was saying, I hadn't played Wizard and Witch Doctor in so long, but I hadn't tried any of some of the sets since they had been updated. So it was cool to go back and see like the different levels of power, and like which ones required a ton of extra ancillary legendaries versus just being good as soon as you put it on and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be an idea behind it. I know at least having there always whenever you attach like a reward to something, even something cosmetic, is going to get people to go outside of their shell. So someone that might never have played, like you were saying, played a wizard in forever, it's like, well, in order to get those wings, I've got to play a wizard. So I guess I'm going to go and do it.
Right, right, exactly. If you really are a completionist or a collectionist or whatever, might as well hop in there. And then I guess, I think that's one of because the boys over at KSB Podcast, one of their biggest complaints, because they're, purely softcore players, right?
Mm-hmm.
They really dislike that Guardian tier requires you to level a hardcore character to 70.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's Blizzard's way of saying, "Hey, try this mode that you normally wouldn't try at all, right?" And maybe I think we've seen it. There have been a couple of people who write in who say, "Oh yeah, I had to level as a hardcore. I got power leveled, but then I just decided to keep trying it, and I actually really like hardcore, so I gave it, a few more hours of my time, and so on and so forth."
Mm-hmm.
So it's that like idea of exposure potentially captivating people to do more than they normally would with the game.
Yeah, I think actually a little bit of the reasoning behind it is just the fact that the title. I want to say Wyatt told us that Dawn was the one that was responsible for that inclusion, as well as the titles of the various chapters in the seasonal journey, and that
Sounds
he
right.
and he wanted to make it Guardian, and because Guardian was the final title that you received in D2 for beating Hell mode in hardcore, that it part of the requirement for that was level a character to 70 in hardcore just because it's referencing the old hardcore title.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yep.
So I mean, either so perhaps it's just dual purpose, right? Like it serves as an homage to the D2 title, but then also like gives them another way to funnel people into something different.
Yeah, and us especially always hope that every person that goes through and gives it a chance to level up, hardcore, and we might get one more convert.
One of us,
One of us. One of us.
right?
Yeah, we can only hope. More hardcore players, the better.
Indeed, good sir. And wrapping things up, other than that stuff, set dungeon stuff. Once that was over, I'm like, all right, well, we got some news. Spoiler alert for things coming up. So I have to get on my horse, literally, and get to farming and try and just complete as much of my gear as I really can, and try and push things forward. So was playing with a couple of other people, like shout outs to Osmodius and Chris Card in the clan, and Bell in the clan, and Tugiznut, which I'm sure I murdered, but I was playing with some of those guys to do bounties because at this point, like, just getting the crafting mats to reroll stuff and get some guarantee ancients, hopefully, is going to be
Hmm.
the best way to move that gear up to the right, affixes, like I was saying before. So off we go, man. Off we go.
Yeah, we only got what a little over a week left now.
Whoa. Why would you say that? It's like you know something.
It's like I know something. Spoilers. Oh, but
Oh.
we'll get to that in just a second because
Yeah, before you
my
get
yeah my weekend gaming is actually really short. Because I've only turned on my computer twice in the past week, and that was Wednesday to do the show, and then Sunday to edit it and upload it to iTunes. Uh, yeah, we had to have the project at work, finished by Monday, and so it's been just a mad scramble this past week to go through and get everything together. And um, then now that everything is done, rehearsals have started, and so I'm just kind of playing babysitter at the theater to see if there's anything that the crew that's renting out the theater actually needs. And it's that's kind of sometimes it was I think yesterday it was only like 4 hours, but I had a lot of other work of rolling out like dance mats and getting placements of curtains and other stuff set up, and then like today it ended up being like 7 hours, and then tomorrow I have to go in at 8 a.m. and I have no idea what time I'm getting out. So we'll
crazy.
yeah, we'll see. I still have to go through and get one more conquest in order to finish up Guardian. And I have a week with which to do that because getting into the news section here, we officially know as I had guessed last week because it's just was kind of like the logical conclusion. We now know that season 5 will be ending officially April 15th.
Yes, sir. April 15th at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Yep, which it would be 8 p.m. For our Eastern players, and time subject to change for our Asian and European friends.
Indeed. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I calculated that out. It's 91 days of season 5.
They were off by a day.
Well, they said 3 months, right? Like
They said three
not
months, so
90 days.
yeah,
And
but
if you
90.
think about it, that's actually the shortest it could be because February was in there and that's a short month.
This is true. This is true. I guess I'll give them that. Fine.
There
Fine, G's.
you go. Although not actually not the shortest because it's a leap year, so it's an extra day in February. So the shortest would be like if it were to, yeah, you know what I
Yeah, exactly.
mean.
Uh,
So with that in mind, though, this kind of I guess we can give the other side of the news too, right? We also know
mhm.
when season 6 starts.
Yay!
Woo woo. So you get a 2 week break, and now on April 29th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, etc., season 6 will be starting up. That
hmm
is a Friday. So I anticipate that meaning that the patch probably drops what the Tuesday before,
Yeah, likely. So that's going to end up being, we will
26th.
Yeah, we'll more than likely see the patch on the 26th as opposed to the 19th. Just from what we had this past time, where they dropped the patch the Tuesday before the season started. So we'll have like a week off with like nothing to do, nothing new. Go ahead, reorganize your stash space, and then after that, we'll get the new patch. You'll have a couple days to play around with it, and then the season will start.
Right on. Yeah, I think it's probably how it will work for the foreseeable future because that was the same. What was it, 2 week break that they gave us between 4 and 5?
hmm
That worked out pretty nicely. So
Yeah, I definitely like that 2 week break as opposed to just like what was it between like seasons 2 and 3 and 3 and 4? It was like 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah, it's like the patch dropped on the season ended on a Monday, patch dropped on Tuesday, and then the season started Friday.
It's no rest for the weary in that instance.
No, none at all. So if you have any goals for season 5 that you still need to accomplish, like me actually having to sit down and get some time to play the game, in order to get that conquest, you have until April 15th to go and get it done. So best of luck to you, to go through and try and finish up. Whether you just want to finish chapter 4 and get your portrait and pet, or if you're looking to get Conqueror for your stash tab or Guardian for bragging rights, by all means.
There's goals ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
So before we move on from this topic, I wanted to kind of poll you and potentially the people in the chat as well. Um, so the goal was for season 5 to try out this 3 month period. It was, since season 1, what we were really asking for when they were trying to figure out kind of the static amount for a season. now that we've all but essentially experienced it, do you feel like it was enough? Still too long? Just right?
I think it was just right. I think that this is going to be a good amount of time because unless your season is going to be like 1 month long, there's always going to be that point where you kind of accomplished most of the things. You'll have your lull moment, and then towards the end, people go back rushing to try and actually make their final pushes, for the leaderboards. But I think 3 months is a good enough time for people to go through the casual players, like myself included, to have time to go and complete all of their goals. Get it, and then feel that they've accomplished something without being too rushed or forced for time for it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think it definitely depends on the level that you play at, right? Because
Hmm.
if you're super gung ho about it, you probably finish many of the seasonal things that are out there. So the seasonal journey, the conquests, and then you're kind of just left with the grind after that. So if you get to that point and you're not super motivated to push leaderboards, then in a way your season feels like it's over once you reach that point. And then
Hmm.
you might say that the season's too long because now you feel like there's nothing else really left for you to do. But for the people that aren't, bum rushing it that many hours per day or whatever, who are really spreading it out, they probably do need, those extra weeks that seem like a waste of time to you
Hmm.
as like the super gamer or whatever. So you kind of have to accommodate for the wide population of players, and I think 3 months will probably work out to be just right.
Yeah, I think that this definitely is the Goldilocks zone for it. And I mean, even for the people that go through and bum rush through, take all of the content in, and all that's left for them at that point is competing at the leaderboards if they wish to go and do it. We as we mentioned on last week's episode, there was a bot ban wave that went out that kind of gutted a lot of the top leaderboards, and many people found themselves suddenly a couple ranks higher than they used to be. Well, they did it again. There is a ban wave
Oops,
round two.
I did it
Again,
again.
again, this week that went through and knocked even more people out of the leaderboards, and it's like it's actually trying to make a little bit fair on the competitive edge. Those people that resort to going and using bots to get those Paragon levels and gear to push them ahead of the competition, they now have found themselves starting all back over.
Ah, it feels so good. When you mentioned on the last episode, you're like, I know Leviathan would want to say stuff if he was here. I was like yelling on computer. I was like, yes, yes, I would. I want to say all the things. And at that time, it probably was good that I wasn't there because I would have just like went on some long ass rant for no reason. But I've collected myself and thought about it since the occurrence, and I was again actually surprised to wake up to a message from Eldorian being like, "Hey, I think there was another bat bond wave, a bot ban wave," uh, and it's good. It's good that they're tackling one of the major key issues left with the game, just from people kind of upending the system by doing things that are illegal and what you call it, hurtful, detrimental to the competitive atmosphere and the competitive aspects of the game.
Hmm.
But if I could criticize, I have two criticisms. One, something I was kind of talking about with Monstrous earlier today. Uh, it would be nice if they could find a way. I know it's probably difficult for them to do it within the terms of the confines of the terms of service. But
Hmm.
people who play with botters also gain a fair advantage as well. An unfair advantage. Well, I can't even speak today. An
Yeah.
unfair advantage as well, right? Because they're able to be in these higher GRs with people that have gear that's way better than. I mean, granted, maybe they would have found legit players who would have been near or at that same gear level if those botters were already removed earlier,
Yeah.
but just the fact that they're able to play with people who are able to just grind out all these GR keys and then benefit from them, and then they're kind of along for the ride. I mean,
Hmm.
how does that look? And one of the things that Nolan was specifically pointing out was that even though the botted players were removed from the leaderboards, especially like for groups, say your four-player group had three botters and one non-botter, the one
Yeah.
non-botter is still
It's
holding
still
on to that
there.
rank.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still up there and they're still holding the rank. So that way, I can't remember. There was this one clan and one member, like one of the few remaining members inside of it. I can't remember specifically what it was, but then all of a sudden in the 2, 3, and 4 player ranks, he's now by himself. Like his groups were all just removed. And it's just him, And so if you're in a 4 player group that's like in the top 20, and the 3 other players are also removed because they were all botting, is even though you particularly didn't bot, is your placement in the ranks still legitimate?
Right.
You know.
I guess, yeah, I guess probably it's a bigger question for the player who's left in that position. Either they knew and they didn't care, or they were like honestly unaware and they thought the people they were playing with were legit. I mean, that's the thing too, right? Like
Hmm.
you can't go in. I mean, you give the benefit of the doubt, right? So you go into a public game, for instance, and you can't believe that everyone you're playing with is just like cheating or botting. So like you
Hmm.
can't say like, oh, I'm not going to play in this public game. So you could even then like be doing bounties with people who botted, and maybe you're gaining an advantage from doing your bounties faster,
Hmm.
but like you didn't know.
Yeah.
So it really
And
does walk that fine line.
And I want to say because like the player in question that I was talking about, and I for the life of me can't remember their name. He on average has played 18 hours a day like since the season started.
Probably talking
With
about Chainer, right? In the SOS clan.
that might be it, yeah. And obviously, the amount of time that he is playing is 100% legitimate. So he has all these Paragon levels and this great gear that he has been putting all of the time and the effort into it. So it's not anything against like him and his abilities, but it's like it's like, well, some people are dedicated to do it without having to resort to botting.
Yeah. That's and that it was kind of funny when the first ban wave went through and people were discussing it on Reddit. One of the things that people were kind of grumbling about, but weren't really making a big deal about, was kind of Chainer and the fact that he is in the SOS clan, which was essentially wiped out with this both of these ban waves. And they were
Yeah.
like how can he stay in that clan knowing there are so many cheaters or whatever? And people were I don't know if they were being serious now, but they were like people need to bot in order to keep up with him. Like he is setting the standard for like what you need as a person that's playing legit, and most people can't play like that dedicatedly, that efficiently for
Hmm.
the longevity of the season. So like they are turning to botting to hang out with him, not the other way around. Thought it was kind of
I
funny.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that. Yeah, but I know, yeah, SOS was, I think there's only like a handful of members that are still there that didn't get banned. I wonder if any more of them were hit up in the second wave for like the 4 remaining members.
I think there was one guy. I don't want to like throw names out there to popularize them for their terrible actions, but there was some guy who was claiming to now be like the number one barbarian after the bans, and then he was banned this week.
uh,
Whoops. Hope you enjoyed it while it lasted.
oopsies. Oopsies.
Silliness. But oh, the other point was, and this is one that the more I think about it, maybe it makes sense that they do it the way they did it the way that they did this time around.
Hmm.
But it would be nice. One of the things when we had like the D3 community against botting campaign going
Hmm.
was saying that we wanted to see more regular bans, right? Like throughout the course of a season,
Hmm.
as time goes on, like ban some of those people that you have detected that are botting or cheating or however you want to put it. But maybe they catch less people if they do it that frequently. So maybe this is kind of the best compromise because it's at a timing where now, with 2 weeks left in the season or less than that now, people know where they stand for real.
Hmm.
But maybe the thing that you kind of miss out on is if there are people who are botting right from day one of the season, you might take the wind out of the sails of some players who wanted to play legitimately early on. So let's say someone sees in week 4 that they're just like helplessly behind some of the leaderboard leaders because they're botting 24/7. They're already 1,000 Paragon levels ahead of that person.
Hmm.
They might just say to hell with the rest of the season. Uh, where and that's where not botting or not banning bots regularly kind of hurts because if they would have gotten rid of some of those people early on, then that keeps kind of the morale higher. It keeps people a little bit more motivated versus the small swath of people that decided to just keep going anyway, and now they're kind of in the running for those top spots because they kept going the whole season.
Yeah, and that's also one of those things that's like I like the fact that they not even the fact that it's like back to back, but that they've done multiple ban waves because it will always kind of like leave this um, kind of like that feeling of when's the next one. If you
Hmm.
go through and you do multiple ban waves like throughout a season, you could do like one like 2 weeks in, another one 2 months in, and then another one like 2 weeks before the season's over. Just to go through and give people, well, it's like we're gonna be doing random bans. For people that are using, cheats or exploits or something like that. So, be wary. Don't get complacent.
Yeah, I mean that
Hmm.
is that's the hopeful goal, right? Is now the like fear of God is out there, so maybe next season stops people who were considering botting or who had been actively doing it quite often. Maybe they don't bot any at all. They buy a new license or whatever, they come back and they actually participate legitimately, and we just see the decline of the bots. That would be nice.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I know some people that were bigger about um, openly embracing the whole botting mentality around themselves and such had been like handed down permanent bans, like IP bans.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good, good. I mean, it should the punishment should fit the crime, right? If you're actively advocating for it, essentially sell it, like almost selling it, to
Hmm.
the masses, then yeah, I think you deserve a bigger punishment than the rest.
Totally. I am in 100% agreement, and I have no sympathy whatsoever for anybody caught up in these ban waves. I I absolutely loved it. It's like speaking of empathy, it's what is it? Zero empathy.
Yeah, yeah. The
Put
European
out
clan.
yeah, he put out a video about band waves, and up on his up in the YouTube video, it showed you might if you have been a botter, you might have logged in to see this screen, and it has like the little ban warning that your account has been terminated, and you can go and check your account settings to see as to the reason why. um, and then he goes on to say, well, if you're like me, it's like if you're a player like me who doesn't use these cheats, this is just part of my OBS overlay, and I can just click here and it goes away. If unfortunately you see this and are not using an OBS overlay,
That was really well done.
that was beautiful.
Yeah, shout outs to Empyrean Gaming for that one.
Yeah, I that brought a smile to my face today. That was one of the greatest things I've seen like in the past couple of weeks.
Definitely, and a shout out to those guys too, because like Wudijo, Empyrean Gaming. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if Desolacer is a part of uh, Zero Empathy either, but he's just another like high level player over in Europe, and all those guys put out really good content. They are obviously doing it, in a manner that's proper and accepted because none of them have been banned. Although I did know, and also another thing that was kind of commendable too was Wudijo, who I think is essentially like the figurehead for Zero Empathy
Hmm.
in the forums and things like that. He went into Reddit and noted that Avoid, who I don't know a lot, maybe some people might remember, he's one of the bigger streamers during vanilla times of Diablo 3.
Hmm.
He actually did get banned and he was in the Zero Empathy clan. So they like kind of came out and said like, we don't condone cheating, but we did have one of our members get banned out just for full disclosure.
Yeah, no, and that's nice that they're going through and embracing it. It's like I'm sure there's some people would worry about it tarnishing like the reputation of the guild, but I think it's just you
Hmm.
know going out there and putting it's like, yeah, this player was in our clan and they got banned for botting. We didn't know it, and but we'll fully own up to it, and we don't because we don't condone it at all, and they won't be back.
Oh, it's cool. It's good to see. It's good
Hmm.
to see. There's still some. I don't even know what the word is. I want to say chivalry, but that's not the right word. Some like
Yeah,
regalness in holding upholding
yeah.
good
We're
gameplay ethics.
we're fighting the good fight.
That's right, man. Thank you for the present, Blizzard.
This is what we always wanted.
So happy.
Now, can we have another expansion, please?
Well, funny you should talk about that. Maybe we'll see some news because I think there's an event
Drum
that
roll.
we can confirm is happening now. Dun, 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 dun. It's BlizzCon!
Yay!
Yeah, buddy. BlizzCon
Uh,
2016 is a go.
and it's one of those. Is like this is starting to get to the late end of like well, it's April now. Are they going to announce BlizzCon, or is this going to be like just they're going to announce that we're not having a BlizzCon this year? This is they've got like so many things like in the works, going on, behind the scenes, Hearthstone stuff. Overwatch is going through and coming out, and it's all the craziness, Legion and such, and hopefully something in the background cooking. Not hopefully, we know something's in the background cooking for Diablo, but you know, wow, what is it? What is it? We need to know,
We
and
need
we
to
need to
know.
go. We need to
Oh,
go.
oh, we're going. We're going.
Hmm.
So, for the dirty details, November 4th and 5th of 2016, the days that will hold BlizzCon. So, we're still at a 2-day convention. Some people in the past have said maybe we should go to 3 days, but still 2 days.
Yep.
And more importantly, what you want to know is that the tickets go on sale April 20th, so that is a Wednesday, and April 23rd, which is a Saturday. There's a write up on the official BlizzCon website. So if you go blizzcon.com, I'm sure it's splattered all over that homepage. When there's a specific page that lets you know exactly what the whole ticket process will be like. They're going with a new provider for their service this year, which is Universe.
Hmm.
And I actually, right before we started the show, I got a call from Dreadscythe, the guy who does our lovely overlay and creates great graphics for the Blizz Pro site. He just wanted me to inform everyone that it's going to be war. Like, prepare yourself if you really want tickets, because there's nothing to save tickets for you, really. Like, you will just have to like type in your info as fast as possible, credit card information as fast as possible, and you do not get uh confirmation of getting tickets until that whole process is over. So even though you get in and you're typing in all your information, you still have no guarantee to actually get tickets. So you need to speed through that process.
Yeah, it's not like when you go through in previous years where you click the number of tickets that you want and then hit, like purchase and then you're put into a queue and you're waiting. So this one is apparently like just a just freehold, like or just like an open, like bar type thing that everyone is just going to bum rush it, and it's whoever can process their purchases first are the ones that are going to get the tickets. So from what it's seeming, there's no queue or anything like that. It's just, you go through, you put in all of your information, you put in the number of tickets that you want, and then you hit buy, and it just is like first come, first serve. So this might go faster than any previous year before.
Oh yeah, especially because Blizzard popularity is up more than ever. I mean, they're offering more games than ever, so there's already a bigger player base.
Hmm.
But also just like the hype is real, and it's special anniversary, 25th, 25 years of Blizzard. So who knows if this will be an extra special BlizzCon? It's the 10th BlizzCon, like we were mentioning before. So this could be crazy. This honestly could cause some rumblings in the community, and I'll be curious to see reports back on how the whole process goes
Hmm.
for everyone. Other details to note as well: it's still $199, so the price hasn't gone up on that, which is good.
Yeah.
There is still, of course, the virtual ticket, which will be available in the near future.
Hmm.
If you do want to support through the benefit dinner that Blizzard always does,
Hmm.
they're still doing that with the Children's Hospital of Orange County, and those tickets are $750, and they go on sale the next Wednesday, so April
Uh,
27th.
Yep. And what I know what's happened in previous years with those charity dinner tickets is that they will like sell out that day, but then something happens or people back out of purchases or I don't know exactly what happens, but then they'll do a second round of like ticket sales for that usually a little bit later on as they have some tickets free up.
Right on, right on.
Yeah, and the one interesting thing is they don't have a price for the virtual ticket right now.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I believe in previous years it's always been like $40.
I think that sounds right. 40 or 50,
Yeah, so
somewhere around that,
yeah,
that
we'll
area.
have to wait and see if they do any different with the pricing for it.
Yes, we shall see.
Hmm.
That would be cool. Long shot in the chat saying, how many tickets do our great hosts get to award to Clam Chat? If we get tickets to give away, that would be fantastic, and we will certainly let you guys know.
Yeah, we will. I've noticed it's something that they've kind of cut back on a little bit in previous years,
You're right.
and the times that they do give tickets to be given away for the fan sites, it's like less than a month before the convention, so it's one of those that it's
Like
you don't
scrambling.
it's like you don't even have time to plan for it. Flux used to comment about this a lot, like every year, about they'd be given tickets like 2 weeks before the convention, and they would offer it to the pals, the subscribers over there on DiabloII.net, and they would like go through and no one could accept because it's like it's like for the costs that would entail of a trip like that, having to travel cross country and such, it's too much on such short notice. So who knows.
Hmm.
But you definitely stay tuned if the Blizz Pro network gets anything to go and give away, whether it's directly through this show or through our parent site blizzpro.com. We will definitely let you know about how you might be able to get any tickets if there are any contests. But like I
Absolutely.
said, this is going to be months away, so don't count on it. Try and get your tickets on April 20th and April 23rd, or if you'll hunt to do the charity dinner, the 27th.
Right on. And there are some good points in chat too, like Miss Cheetah's pointing out that even if you don't have a ticket, just going and being around like the con itself and
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with people after they get out of the convention, hotel rooms, the bar.
Half the convention takes place in the Hilton lobby.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, you definitely still get quite a bit of an experience just by virtue of being in Anaheim that weekend. So it's worth it if you just even if you just take the plane flight to come out, but don't actually secure a ticket to get inside.
Mm-hmm. It is you'll there's enough there to go through and experience because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. There's the Wowhead party, the Twitch party, the Newegg
Con
had a
before the
party,
storm.
Con Before the Storm, which maybe we can go through and be a part of this year. Who knows? We'll see what comes of that. But a lot of the people that listen to our show listen to a lot of different podcasts, and at Con Before the Storm they have World of Podcasts, which takes that kind of gives a venue for a lot of podcasts from across the whole like Blizzard sphere to go through, get together, have a chance to meet and greet with fans, and just interact with other content creators, from within the community.
Yeah, man, it's a fun time. No matter what part of it, if you have full access, some access, no access, it is a fun time. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing as many of our listeners out there as possible. It's great to meet people there last year. I want more of you. Come and hang out. We'll play some board games.
Yeah, totally. And if you go through and like for this will be like your second BlizzCon, and then you'll be able to compare the two BlizzCons to one another.
I almost lost Gatorade all over my keyboard. Oh my god. You're out of control. You can't be stopped.
Can't be
I'm
stopped.
sorry, Monstrous.
No, you're not.
Nope, I'm really not, though.
No.
But what I am sorry for is leaving you with bad intel last week. I did want to make a quick correction because,
Yes.
although I guess people know at this point, but I had left a note that the PTR was closing on March 31st, but I read that thing from Nevilistus incorrectly, and it was just the forums
Forum.
themselves that were shutting down on March 31st. But
Hmm.
the PTR is still up. So I guess
Yeah.
the people that cared are already checked and probably already know, and they're still PTRing if they want to.
Yeah, but just so everybody knows, yes, I was incorrect last week about going through and announcing the closure of the PTR. So it is not closing down at that point in time. And it was uh did they actually announce when the PTR itself is going to be coming down?
No, we have
I
no firm date on that.
I want to say if anything it's I'm trying to remember what they did last time. I think it was either at the season close or the week before the
Yeah,
uh, the new season started.
I think it extended past the season, and that's kind of I think that's something that a few of the seasonal players are taking into account because then they just get to grind full time on the season, and then when the season's done, they can actually go PTR test, even though they're not testing anything because feedback and things like that to make changes to the patch are going to be more than locked out at that point. But they'll at least be able to do their preparation for kind of them figuring out the meta and stuff.
Hmm.
And I guess it's worth noting too. Yesterday, a very small patch fixer went up to the PTR, and it was just a lot of like bug crunching interactions and things that weren't working with like focus or restraint or skills that were supposed to do stuff that weren't doing proper stuff that all got sussed out.
Hmm.
So that patch is pretty much done.
Yeah, it's done. Stick a fork in it.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Um. Dang, I cannot wait. For BlizzCon. It's just Ah, yeah. There's kind of like some of the rumors and such that had been going around, talking about there's like some sort of there was some comments and such about how people were disappointed with BlizzCon 2015, but they're like Diablo fans are going to have a real treat for BlizzCon 2016. I don't know what's behind that or if we're going to see anything. We're Leviathan and I are both on the same page about we don't really see another expansion for Diablo 3 being in development. We see it more that they're kind of be focusing efforts on going through and cranking out a Diablo 4, and with having just hired an art director, it seems like it's too early to show anything about that. So it's like if
Yeah.
they're not going to be working on an expansion, and it's too early to do Diablo 4, then what is it?
Yeah, what will we see?
Mm-hmm.
I don't it's an interesting I mean it's always an interesting time to be a Diablo player, but especially in this case because I feel I mean who can say, right, what Blizzard's plans are, but I feel like it would be a really weird thing if there wasn't some sort of featurette or like call out to Diablo players in the opening ceremony this time around because then that'll be essentially like 2 years of kind of neglect. Obviously, we got good stuff for the
Mm-hmm.
Diablo community last BlizzCon, but it wasn't main stage, right? It wasn't like what everyone is seeing because I think even that part of BlizzCon is free. Like everyone sees the opening ceremony,
Yeah,
and then
everyone gets to see the opening ceremony for free, and immediately after that is when it hits the paywall for the virtual ticket.
right on. So that's kind of my thing is like I want the hype of Diablo that we experience like on a weekly basis to
Hmm.
spread out to the denizens, the masses that aren't like rabid Blizzard fans already. But when you have a whole IP that doesn't even see like the limelight in that instance, and we need to be able to cull more people into the community, just to keep it lively and to also grow that base for what could be a brand new game and things like that. So I hope to see even if it's just like a teaser or like more coming soon, 2017, get hype. I don't know, like
Yeah.
something.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. And I mean, it's gonna be September, October before we get the floor map or the convention schedule. But even if it comes back down to like a single panel and the area for the slaughtered calf inn, like kind of like that little intimate meeting area, I think I'd still be happy, especially after going through and seeing how well it played out last year. Even with the virtual ticket, you really wouldn't have gotten to experience that. And if you haven't yet, I still highly recommend going back and checking the Diablo YouTube channel for all of the developer lightning talks. Last year, the community reps were telling us they couldn't really broadcast the lightning talks because of like just the contractual obligations with their streaming partners and such.
Yeah,
But
like direct TV and whatnot.
yeah, but if they can figure out something to go through and get those lightning talks up on like a side stream, or be able to go through and like do like a free like YouTube or Twitch stream for it to get those out there during the convention itself, it might be able to convey some of that hype and some of that just passion from the developers themselves. Because having been there and watched like the lightning talks and then going back and watching the YouTube videos, it's still like the same script. It's giving you back all of the same information, but just like being able to hear the devs up on stage in front of a crowd do it instead of from their offices it was a lot different.
Yeah, and actually, I'm just realizing that I think one of the panels that was a lightning talk actually never became a YouTube video. It was the sound one, right? Because remember
Hmm.
that was the one where the guy was like breaking spaghetti on things and like he had the symbol. Like I don't
Yeah, the
recall
dry
anything.
ice on the symbol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't recall that one really making YouTube. And I was just
yeah, that's
thinking
right.
like that's one where in person like you get so much more out of it than they probably couldn't recreate it for YouTube maybe, and that's why.
And there's no way that you could recreate that panel for YouTube because it ended with you getting like hardcore denied a Yeti.
That was a different one, but oh my gosh, I would love to relive that moment to see just like the slow-mo grab away from you.
Oh,
You
which
don't
one
get
was?
this.
Oh, that was the monster one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the one
Yeah,
where
I
it was
completely
all
forgot.
about
Yeah.
Yetis.
Yeah.
I think they were back to back.
Hmm.
Oh,
And I can also say that anyone that's going to BlizzCon or watching on the virtual stream, any of the panels involving the sound team you have to check out. Like you absolutely have to see. They put on some of the best productions at BlizzCon, bar none. They're always entertaining. There's always awesome. I remember. I think it was like the I'm trying to remember. It might have been BlizzCon 2011. Or it was one of the first BlizzCons after Diablo 3 launched, or right before it launched. Dang it, I can't remember which one it was, but they had a sound like the sounds of Sanctuary, and it had the sound team going up and like, so a lot of it was just videos of them like throwing rocks in the desert and blowing stuff up. It's just like this is what we do. This is our job. It's amazing. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the things with sound are usually the most intriguing because they go to such weird places to get the sounds that we end up experiencing, and you don't really think about how it's made, until you see it in front of you.
Hmm.
And even Shappy in chat is kind of pointing to another thing that's really worth going to too is the voice actors panels, just because you get to see these people who look like completely normal people, and then all of a sudden they like pull these crazy voices out of their bodies, and you're just like, wait, that's Raynor, that's Deckard Cain. Like, are you serious right now?
Yeah, and then some of them do multiple characters across like the different Blizzard games, and they'll sit there and start having conversations with themselves.
It is a sight to behold. So much talent
Yeah,
on
it really
display.
is. And I want to say that I don't think that the voice actor panels, because it's on like a side stage, are even on the live stream.
Yeah, you're right.
Uh huh.
It's like its own thing now.
Yep. And someone, what is it? Green Tea is asking in chat, are you guys serious? Sounds. Most players are playing the game without sound. Yeah, I'm 100% serious. It is an awesome panel. Whether you play with sounds on or not, doesn't isn't going to negate the entertainment value of going through and watching people like blowing up rocks in the middle of the desert and recording the noises and having like the sound equipment catch on fire, and relating those stories to whether you actually listen to like the in-game music or not.
Agreed.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Was there anything else that we kind of wanted to touch on before we kind of take like a little trip down memory lane?
No, I think we covered the news.
Yeah, that was the news, and of course, as Leviathan so eloquently put it at the beginning of the show, this is our second anniversary. I guess our second anniversary is actually April 2nd, I believe
Yes.
it was. So it was a couple days ago, and it's been 2 years since we went through and started this. I know you jumped on shortly afterwards. I think only like a couple months in. It was
Yeah,
back.
I want to say I started in October, November, December, somewhere around there. I think it was winter time.
Yeah, it originally started off with Archon and myself. And for any of you who are wondering, what Archon, what TJ is going through and up to, other than going and training, penguins how to play Pokemon on the moon, he's been developing a game. And if you ever head over, you'll probably have seen, if you're still a follower on his channel, that he's been active a lot lately these past couple of months, because he's developing like an interactive tower defense game for Twitch. So
Okay.
it's a Twitch channel that you can go and actually play, just from Twitch without having to go through and install anything. It's a pretty interesting like social experiment and such, that it's free to play. You don't have to be a subscriber to play the game. You can just go through, log on. The commands are really easy and quick to do. So yeah, if you have the opportunity, go and check out Archon's channel and give the tower defense map a try. It's usually running like 24/7, and he's adding new updates all the time.
Yeah,
Highly highly recommend it.
it's been really cool to see his progression because I think it really started for him with he had an Overwatch overlay, Overwatch overlay,
Hmm.
that was interactive. So it kind of helped people, I think, pick like who he played in the game and things like that.
Hmm.
And he kind of took that interactive experience, one step further with the tower defense that you're talking about. So I mean, he's really getting. I feel like he's kind of living out, his dream. One of the things that he did spout as a reason for leaving the show in the first place was kind of really wanting to go 100% into development. So he's doing it,
Yeah,
and
making those dreams come true.
yeah, hopefully it's working out for him.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but man, we're like as old as Reaper of Souls is now.
It's weird to think.
Yeah.
Try to think back, like, for the past year of episodes, it's hard to think, like, over the course of the life of the show, like, what my favorite moments would have been. But just
Mm-hmm.
even in the past year, I think there's just been so many good things. Because I especially love the episodes when we have guests, and I hate that I keep missing them recently. But it's always fun to just kind of interject that extra personality
Mm-hmm.
because, that it usually creates situations where they bring up something that neither of us would necessarily think about,
Mm-hmm.
or just kind of challenges an idea in a different way, which is really cool.
Which
But
which spoilers, even though we're not doing an episode next week, we have something for you the week afterwards to look forward to. Dun dun dun.
yes, dun, dun, dun. But those, I think those in general are just my favorite. Because, like, if I'm thinking specifically, like, I loved the episode when, and this is like an easy one to choose, but the episode when we came back from BlizzCon and we had Monstrous, and we
Mm-hmm.
were just kind of going ham on the core of reliving all those memories. It
Yeah.
was so much fun.
Yeah, I was going to go through and pretty much answer similarly that one of my favorite aspects. It's not even an episode; it's just going through and running into fans and listeners of the show at BlizzCon. Just
Hmm.
being able to go through, walk around, and then all of a sudden tap on the shoulder, "Hey, Nine Ball, I love your show." It's just like that. That is amazing. It's a cool thing. And then when we were over at the Slaughtered Cafe Inn, and Richie came up and approached us, and it's like, "Wait, you're wearing a staff shirt." And you listen to us. It's like, dang, wow. Talk about dreams come true.
Yeah, man. It's cool. There's so many moments where you just kind of like have not even an out of body experience, but just that kind of surreal feeling of, is what I do meaningful to like other people? Like, really,
Hmm.
people actually care? Like, some people care more. Well, I wouldn't go that far. Maybe I think we care a lot, but I feel like some people have almost as much of an investment in the show as we do. Like, Fouch, for instance, right before we started, was like, I hope you guys know I plan my whole Wednesdays around making sure I can see the show. I'm like, damn, man, that means something,
Uh-huh. That's true love right there. True
Seriously.
love. Or how many other people that we go through, and if just as we mentioned earlier, the kind of like the inconsistency that we've been running into some problems here in 2016, that we get emails, like, I don't want to say angry emails, per se, that's the wrong term, but it's like, guys, your 2 hours is what fills up my drive to work, or like me doing yard work. You need to go through and put that episode out, please.
Right?
It's a great, wonderful feeling.
Can't be responsible for crabgrass and unkempt lawns everywhere. That's too much pressure, man. We gotta do the show.
Yeah, we have to do it. We can't, no hold back. There's lawns that need mowed, and they require our voices with which to do it. So,
That's right.
ah,
But yeah, I mean, like I was mentioning in the intro, again, just thank you to everyone who, like, the thing is, this show like couldn't happen without the people. Like, we had the news section for how long? Like 45 minutes, right? And that
mhm.
would be the show. It'd be over unless we didn't have all these crazy, awesome emails to read and items to show and things like that. So it's just, you can't say it enough. But thank you guys for really making the show.
Yeah, I mean, the community section normally takes up at least half of the show, if sometimes not longer.
Hmm.
So it's you guys, make up a pretty significant amount of everything that we do here. Yeah.
100% agree.
Hmm. Which, speaking of which, is it time for the community section?
I think it's a perfect lead-in slash
Let's
transition slash segue.
segue transition. Now let's see. Oh, that is bright. Sorry there. Um, I guess I will start things off here. Our first email goes through and comes in from Mad Hamster. We get our lovely little hamstergram going through and answering one of my questions I had put out there. Is, of course, we're still going through a backlog of some of the community feedback here. That he wanted to go through and relay his season 5 journey in a nutshell. That even though it is in a nutshell, it is long.
It's a big nut.
It is. It is definitely. This is not your normal sized nut. This is something that, like, squirrels dream about. It is divine. you know. Uh, but
Just please read the email.
Okay, here we go. All right, enough about nuts. Anyways, I thought I would check in regarding my season 5 journey and beyond. With the days leading up to season 5, I had my heart set on that additional stash tab, which was rewarded for completing the Conqueror journey in season 5. Doing some due diligence as to what I would need to complete that level of the season journey, I saw some things that gave me pause. The Greater Rift 70 solo and 2 conquests stuck out at me. I started the season as a demon hunter the minute season 5 started with two friends who I've been playing D3 with for a couple of years now. The levels came one by one, and by the end of the weekend, I was in the middle of chapter 4. I felt like I had a good start. Fast forward a couple weeks, and I had accomplished all of the Destroyer. In trying to get Conqueror wrapped up, I completed the Greater Rift 45 with no set bonuses conquest, and managed the Avarice conquest by accident, as many people did, just going through and finding a Gilded Baron and a tier 10 with a gold skin. And then all of a sudden, the extra stash tab was mine. Yay! For a hamster, more more places to hold stuff. Maybe nuts? I don't know. Helps a lot. I just have to point out the irony of that we've gone from dick jokes to nut jokes here, so I don't know. We're continuing to move up.
Let
I
us
hope that
let's
doesn't get us.
proceed down the body.
Or is that up the body? I don't know. After getting 3 of the 4 Demon Hunter set dungeons mastered and repeatedly failing the Impale Shadow set dungeon, I can't do this.
Keep going.
I can keep going.
You can
Um,
do it.
Killing all but 2 of the enemies after getting all 5 chains of 20. I thought I would try and do. I don't know why.
I'm sorry,
God,
people.
I'm. I
We are
don't.
12 years old.
I'm 12. What is this? I don't understand. Um, And sorry, Mad Hamster, for ruining your perfectly good feedback. I'm sorry. Um, I thought I would try a new approach to the third conquest. I decided that the Years of War, 6 Greater Rift 55s with 6 different 6-piece set bonuses sounded easier. That's a lot of sixes. I did 3 of the Greater Rift 55s using my wizard, 2 of them with my DH, and then created a monk to do the sixth 55 attempt, and boom, done with conquest. This was much easier than the 8 set dungeons, in my opinion. I still want those wings, so I'm going to have to do them all at some point, but not today. Lastly, I had to get a level 70 in hardcore. I only expected to play to 70, as that was all I needed to do. Well, I did that. Guardian completed, the Molten Portrait obtained. Well, I did not stop playing hardcore as I had planned. I had discovered that it
Oh,
was pretty fun, and it got to be very exciting at times, and continues to be. At the time I write this, I now have a Paragon 413 Witch Doctor. I've completed a number of hardcore achievements, and have reached solo Greater Rifts 47 so far. I must say, you guys were absolutely right. Hardcore is very different in how you play. I think Spirit Vessel has procced twice on me so far, causing near heart attacks. It's fun. Keep up the podcast. You guys are appreciated. But yeah, and he also then sent us a follow up email on that one. That he wanted to also give us some tales from hardcore. So this one is actually only from a couple days ago. So we're going through and getting an update on how he's going through and doing in hardcore, and it kind of relates some of his deaths that he's had. His first death was on Friday. I'm imagining that is just this past Friday. That he was sort of eating while doing a Greater Rift 49. Too many explosions at once, and he did not notice that his spirit vessel had procced. He lost his 110 Greater Rift keys that
ooh.
were on me. Ouch! Dang, that burns.
Yep.
And then on Sunday, death number 2, re-leveled myself with big help to the Paragon points and top tier rubies in my weapon. Leoric's crown selected in the cube, and was soon at 70, donning my backup gear. I was sort of eating and playing in
Jesus.
a public rift. More explosions and fire. Okay, I've learned my lesson. No more eating while doing greater rifts. This one stung because I lost a 3000 DPS Ancient Sacred Harvester that I had found in some nice Tasker and Theos. My only other short man's finger, and a really greatly rolled Countess Julia's amulet. And then, to continue on the trend, death
Same
number
day.
3, same day. I got a little help releveling. Big shout out to Cool Story Bro community member that helped me out with releveling quicker. Didn't say who it was, but just wanted to give a shout out to the KSB community member that helped him. Donned his
Nice.
backup gear. I know that feeling, unfortunately. And while I was contemplating quitting due to high latency, and that was what was looking a mild rubber banding lag, I then had a severe rubber band, and that really sucked. The third death really stung. I lost my ancient Monojuna's Carver, my Manajuna's Gory Fetch, nice Maras, and my last good set of Helltooth gear. I also just finished my two. I just finished leveling 2 gems to 25. Now I'm on my fourth try, and a great shout out to my clanmate Lightbright for helping me power level. The backup to the backup to the backup. I've converted some set items to fill in the gaps, so I'm not at optimal specs, but I'm back up to tier 8 with 5 pieces of Helltooth, a Ring of Royal Grandeur, Conventional Developments, Taskers, Sacred Harvesters, and a Henry's Mojo. I've got a ways to go with the backup gear, but one major lesson learned: keep Greater Rift keys in your stash. They will work without having them on you. Very, very true.
Yep.
And I've learned that I really enjoy hardcore, although I will do my season journey on softcore, at least for now. But keep up the awesome podcasts, they are appreciated. You keep the Diablo community entertained and informed. Aw. So, yeah,
Thanks.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much, Hamster. We really appreciate your little story there.
I learned that hamsters like to eat. That's what I learned from that experience.
They do always have like those big puffy cheeks there.
Hmm. Always got some nutrients coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I can relate to his first death where he lost the GR keys because I think it was season 3 when I was running with Lala to do the what was it called at that time? I think it was Years of War, the one where you have to kill all the bosses within like at that point it was 30 minutes of
Mm-hmm.
starting a game on T10 difficulty. And so we're running, we're going around, and I had every material that I had gotten up until that point in on my person because I was being super lazy and just being like, well, I'm collecting, all my veiled crystals, reusable parts, GR keys, etc. I keep getting them as we do rifts and stuff. Might as well just keep them on me. And then I didn't. And this is the hubris, right? Or the is that the word I want?
Mm-hmm.
The I don't know. I got really cocky basically, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna die doing this conquest. Like we're capable of doing T10 stuff pretty fine. So didn't think to stash any of that stuff, and then of course died on like on our way to Malthael and lost all that. So not only and that those deaths sting the most because not only do you lose everything that you had equipped, but then anything you could use to help yourself back up, like your death's breaths or your things that you might craft and make some legendaries in the cube or whatever. Although I don't think we had the cube at that time. Maybe not. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean. It's all your resources, so it's like a double hit. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then not just that, is like he lost all the Greater Rift keys, his main set, his backup set, and then like his backup set. And so now you're basically, it's like, well, what the hell do I have left in my stash?
Hey, your season started again.
Yay!
Stash so clean. And I thought that it would be kind of nice to continue with the stream of hardcore deaths by heading into Osmodius's email, where he noted that a couple of really stupid things happened to him. So he says, I just did two of the stupidest things I've ever done in D3 in the space of about a half hour, and I have to tell on myself. I've been running a Nats build to level gems from 1 through 61, and then I switched to UE as my main DH to go to 65 for augmentations. I just got a Tagook to 65, so I put it in the cube, and I added the Nats boots. I was looking forward to seeing the total dex bump up over 10k, and then it didn't. What the heck? Oh crap, the last augment I did was on the boots, so it just overwrote the previous level 65 I had done.
Ouch.
That stinks. That sucks.
Ouch.
And then, since Taeguk is a must on Nats, he ended up switching over to his UE main to speed through a 50. Put on the amulet with the Boon of the Hoarder, switched to Nemesis Bracers, and cleared the Greater Rift in less than 3 minutes. But since I had left the Hellfire amulet with the Taeguk in my stash, as usual, the Guardian did not drop another Taeguk. Wasn't that stupid of me? Oh, no, no, no. Just kidding. That's not the stupid part. After I put the Hellfire amulet with a Taeguk on my Nets DH's inventory, I switched back to my main, speed through another 50, and guess what passive's on that Hellfire amulet? You guessed it right. It was awareness.
Dun dun
So,
dun.
guess what happens in GR50 when you mistime a volt and you get blasted by three molten explosions simultaneously?
Hmm.
Blew up my main with over 300 hours played, and I lost 11 of the 13 augmented pieces of gear. Looking for power level, Oz. Well, I hope
Damn
you got
shame.
that power level. That sucks. Actually, I think I saw him on. Actually, I mentioned I played with him, so I think he had gotten power leveled back up because I think this email came in before I had played with him. Timeline wise, the darkest timeline is when you die all the
Yeah,
time.
all the time, all the
All the
time.
time.
Uh, Going through and continuing on. Our next email here is from one of my favorites, 69 Ball. Continuing on the I am 12. What
Oh
is
man,
this?
the
Uh,
giggles are here.
it is true. Um, he has a question and a suggestion. The first question: if you could have any single legendary item, could be anything, weapon, armor, gems, potion, etc., and the ability to use the power on that legendary item, what would you get? And I imagine that this is like a question that if you could have like a legendary item in real life, what is it that you would want?
Man, there are a lot of powers. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
It
you,
depends too on like are we saying that like fantastical things can happen or can we only augment like things we can normally do?
I would say like let's let fantastical things happen.
Okay.
Because it's one of those ones that like mine was actually like if well I don't have like I can't conjure fire or anything like that, so like a convention of elements doesn't really do anything for me. Then I was going around thinking like what would be cool, and then I was thinking well like the Maximus, let me just go through and like start hitting a tree, or breaking some barrels with this giant two-handed sword, and then summon a demon, to go through and like, hey, can you go get me a cherry coke, from the fridge?
It's just grabbing them and like instantly melting them. I
Yeah.
broke another 1-9 ball. I'm sorry.
Dang it, can't take you anywhere. Just little things like that. Or maybe like a Henry's, just so that way I could have a cat that falls asleep as soon as I put it on the ground. I don't know, it's cute.
Aw. Well,
Aw.
see, the reason I asked was because I was thinking more in the realm of like realistic things, and I would
Yeah.
totally go for Warzekian arm guards. Because imagine like you're at a track meet, and like everyone's getting ready, they're in their standing pose, and you
Uh-huh.
just have like a plate over your head, and they shoot the gun. You just throw the plate on the ground. You just start freaking speeding off. Everyone's just like, "Why? What just happened? Hello?
Uh-huh.
Why is he so fast?" And you
Yeah.
just like
You could,
you break stuff, and then you just run around everyone.
or you could do that. You could do that as like a Chrome's belt. That as long as nobody hits you, increases your speed by 25%.
Oh yeah, true. Even
Yeah.
easier. I
Yeah.
kind of like breaking stuff though.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
A
Fine.
reason to smash things.
You've won me over. I I absolutely agree.
Ooh,
Uh,
ooh, J How's got a really good one. Gold
oh,
skin.
gold.
Why
Yeah,
not, right? Yeah, generate gold.
yeah.
Never have to work again.
No, never do. But you'll probably get investigated about why you keep trading in all of this gold. Like, where is he getting it from? You're gonna have to come in and talk to us. Down at the station real quick.
That's when you need your second power,
Uh,
the Nagel ring, and just
and,
boom,
and
fallen lunatics blow things up.
we should. This question is really just for chat now at this point, because long shot Kool Aid. Who needs walls?
Ooh.
You go through, you drink the potion. It's an infinite potion, and so you just walk through walls. Imagine that, and it heals you too. It's like so that way after you're like going through and you're like all beat up, it's like a sensu bean.
That's true.
Then all of a sudden you're good.
Where we're going, we won't need any roads.
Roads. Man.
Good question.
Good question. Good question. By all means, if anybody has any other feedback of what they want, go ahead. Send in. I'd love to hear it. Um, And then his suggestion is, would you ever consider having live gameplay footage inside a Westmarch workshop? We can all understand it might be a little bit difficult to talk and play at the same time, but it would still be fun to watch nonetheless. If not live streaming, then maybe showing pre-recorded footage would be cool as well. Um, that could.
Remember when we used to do that?
Yeah, we actually, yeah, that's something that we used to do. Now we're at like the 2 year anniversary. If you go back and watch some of the earlier episodes, we did actually have gameplay because we used to have like build breakdowns and such for different classes, and we would go and show a little bit of footage for that. And it might be something that we could potentially do again in the future, or even just get some pre-recorded stuff to go and talk about, especially once we're going into like season 6 and have some more season prep stuff, or if we want to talk about easier ways to do conquests. I imagine like that weekend we should be able to get the conquest completed for the what is it? Killing the 300 enemies for the cursed chest event. We could maybe
Yeah,
even record that and play it on the show. Just
yeah.
spitballing ideas here.
Or even when we used to do like our, episode 40.5 or something, where we'd just be like on the PTR testing stuff, and we
Hmm.
would throw that up as an episode. Maybe we could do some things like that in the future if we. It just requires time to get everyone on the same schedule. That's not a Wednesday.
Yeah, which lately has been a little bit difficult.
Yeah, but there are
Yeah,
definitely some ideas we could do.
yeah, yeah. Huh, we shall see. Yeah. Continuing on, I think you're set up for the next one.
Yes, sir. All right, I've got one that's coming in from Lovecraft, and he's got an addendum to his last letter and some SOJ thoughts. So he said he just listened to the Leviathan solo show on the way to work and thought he would throw in an idea about improving the SOJ. So because the SOJ in D2 had a +1 to all skills attribute, why not do a little callback to something like that with a legendary power that's like plus X levels to all equipped legendary gems? That wouldn't really work with some gems like Gogok, and obviously this was written before the gem changes came in, since now Gogok does kind of infinitely scale, so you could
Hmm.
use Gogok as well with that. But it still wouldn't work for everyone because Boon of the Hoarder has a cap, and some of the other ones too. Invigorating Gemstone, which I know everyone really cares about, also has a cap on it, and Ice Blink. But he thinks overall it would work if the right tuning was found, or maybe a plus XX% increase to regular gems. So, for instance, plus 25% to a flawless Imperial 280 stat, and that would allow that gem to then give you 350 stat. Anyway, still plugging away at hardcore. About Paragon 450 now. I am hooked. Keep up the great work, Lovecraft. Yeah, I like the idea of having the SOJ bolster skills, just like as a callback to how it would
Hmm.
in D2. It just would be difficult to do something that felt powerful in every instance, you know? Because if your build, like obviously having more levels on your Bane of the Trapped is always good, right? That's just always better. But it might not feel as powerful if you have a build that's going to take, unlike the Gogog, I guess, because you're just getting like a little bit more dodge chance or something like that.
Yeah.
What if it, and this is me just spitballing, I haven't really thought through, but what if it gave you like plus percentages to I guess it wouldn't work for every skill though, but just the skills, I guess, that went off of percent damage, if it boosted up those. So like your Wave of Light, it would add
Hmm.
another plus 200% or something, just additive damage to all those
Yeah.
skills that deal damage.
And like there's also just like the SOJs back in Classic where they had a set number of skills that they could roll for each class.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If they do something along those lines, that maybe just a couple, or just go the full gamut. You're playing with tons of probabilities at that point, or you could even do just something like I don't know. They could do like um, kind of like how it has like the increased damage versus elites. If you do something around you know the old Hellfire torches, just something like increases damage of all Demon Hunter skills by 20%.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
something along those lines.
I could see it, and then you could just have, because it would still have some of those, like the elemental and the elites and stuff. So it would just be like your source of multiplicative damage from multiple categories.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, it depended on how much you want to push it into like the realm of RP, RNG, or how much you want to just kind of like flatten it out or give those old callbacks. Because there's nothing that translates besides just doing a flat damage to all of the skills for a single class. There's nothing that translates into +1 all skills.
yeah, you're right. We shall see, I guess.
Hmm. And continuing on, we have an email here from Andrews that he wanted to share some wizard wands, which we'll be going through and taking a look in the items of the week section here in a little bit. Uh, see. But he wanted to go through and share what he found and ask how you all feel about patch 2.4.1 with all the classes getting huge damage buffs. For me, it's getting ludicrous. I logged onto the PTR and tried my pet witch doctor. Now I'm barely clearing Greater Rift 75 on live. I cleared an 85 with 8 minutes left on the timer and didn't change a thing. Not a
Wow.
single piece of gear, skill, or legendary gem. And so I think to myself, what's next? Two more patches, and we'll be clearing Greater Rift 200 and running Torment 30. So it's like, yeah, what's next? And it's one of those. It's like I I don't know. I don't know what could happen in the next couple patches, because in this one, remember, is just kind of like a buffs and tweak. We're not even getting any new sets or uh, like anything like really big or new thrown into the mix. This is just like little tweaks here and there.
No, and there's so much room for power creep too. Like
Hmm.
I forget who I was talking to, but someone was like, "Wouldn't it be cool if they added a tertiary power for all of the legendary gems? So like there's a rank 50 unlock or something." I'm like, I could
That
see that happening if
that
they wanted to at some point.
actually that's actually a really good idea for like another major content patch. To kind of rival for like 2.5 or something like that. That's a big feature that they could add in. That would give that'd give reason to put, instead of like a point one or a point two, that this is patch 5.
Yeah, yeah, like a full hard on. Oh my God, a full massive
Now you're doing it.
rework.
Ha ha ha.
It's all your fault.
I know.
A full massive
It's
rework
not it's not
to
my fault. They told me they fixed it.
stop. I'm trying to think and be serious here.
There's no seriousness on this show. We
None.
already made half a dozen penis jokes. It's too late
This
for
is
that.
this is
We're
true.
too
We're
far
down the.
gone.
Should just rename the episode to "What a Dick Part 2."
Yes, we have gone down the hole. What hole? It's who's to say.
Who's to say? But yeah, it would be like a full rework to legendary gems across the board, and maybe that would be something. It would be tough, honestly, to think about what would be added to each gem while still keeping its flavor and things like that too. But
Hmm.
I mean, that'd be game changing, right? Because you'd have so many more things at your disposal. I think what are there, like 20 plus gems, and that means 20 more powers, basically.
Hmm. It would.
Crazy,
Or 21, because I imagine maybe they'd added in a new gym in that patch too. So we'll
all
see.
right? All right,
Yeah.
all right.
So if you want to take this next one, I just have to step away for just 1 second.
You got it.
All right, thank you.
All right. So this next email is coming in from a Ghost Chill, and he's sending his first email to Westmarch. Hype. Sup, fellas? Long time lurker, first time writer. Been listening to the podcast for quite a while. I could probably say it was around the start of Reaper's Souls when I rejoined the world of Diablo 3 with the Crusader. I was a former Paladin player in D2. I really appreciate the content you guys provide via the very portable and sneakily accessible at work podcast. Nice. I split this email up so it's easier to fit in a standardized email community segment. So here's the first point. Help, I am stuck in my seasonal journey. I've been mostly not tryharding playing Crusader for my D3 experience, but this includes not playing Season. This time around, I got baited with the extra stash space and I decided to play a Demon Hunter, change it up. First, I have been having a blast with the Shadow 6 piece. I got it to GR 60, which is enough to make me happy, but I still need that one more conquest for the stash space. I've been trying to do it with the no set GR 45 conquest, but I still have PTSD from the Shadow's Mantle set dungeon. I've looked up a few builds online, and the one that has gotten me close enough was multi shot Cindercoat Deadman Legacy, but I don't have the Ancient Yang's recurve, so I'm using an Ancient Calamity, and I'm really lacking the damage to clear. Any build recommendation or suggestions would be appreciated and attaches a pic of the current build. I don't know if Nine Boss pulled that one out or not. Um, but yeah, I did do back in what was it, season 4 or 3 maybe, when they had that conquest. Although I guess it's not as valid because when you could do it the first time around, you could use focus and restraint. So I did do the Demon Hunter no set conquest, but I used focus and restraint. But I did do a multi-shot build with Yang's recurve, Cinder Coat, a whole bunch of other things. So I mean, I think it's doable. Like honestly, what you would probably have to do is gear up to the point where you can throw some augments on your different pieces that you're using. Obviously, having an Ancient Yang's recurve would help a lot.
Ever so
Uh,
slightly.
yes, just a little bit for the DPS output. But it should definitely, I would think that'd probably be the most capable spec for Demon Hunters to get that done, and it's probably going to require just a good layout for the Demon Hunter as well too, because yeah, you get a lot of your power from the Unhallowed Essence set, but DH has so many ways to buff up their DPS through their passives and through the use of different gems and things like that. Like it should, as long as you get a good riff going, you should be able to make the time. Because remember, all you have to do is beat it in 14 minutes 59 seconds. So as long as you can put enough DPS out there and not die, then you should be good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
With Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's kind of a moot point right now, but like next patch with some of the other changes that they're making with switching everything over to like so many multiplicative buffs, it will become even easier. But that's one thing where the Demon Hunter kind of excels at already because they have access to a couple of multiplicative damage buffs already, which
oh
really
yeah,
helps with completing that.
oh yeah. And I mean, I'm looking at his build, and he's definitely using the right items. You know, you've got your convention in there to help buff up the damage. You got the Syndico, you got the Mage Fist. I can't really think of any other pieces that would potentially help to push you further, and you're using pretty much all DPS gems. I would say actually going from, I would maybe not use a Bane of the Stricken. I know it sounds crazy, but since the Greater Rift Guardian shouldn't be too tough to kill, assuming you get there in enough time, by using a Bane of the Powerful that's pretty decently leveled, you should be able to take that with you to have more DPS throughout the Rift, and then it will still give you some effect because you get the elite damage on the Greater Rift Guardian.
Hmm.
And maybe that would be something to at least try out, experiment with as a change.
Hmm.
Stone of Jordan ideas. Here's another one. In the spirit of Diablo 2, Stone of Jordan, it should boost. It should be a boost that applies to everything a little bit. I would say double the duration of all timed buffs in your buff bar. That's an interesting one. So
Hmm.
that would actually be. It would basically be like a huge CDR buff in a way, because then you wouldn't need to hit your skills as often since they would be on longer timers.
Yeah. Oh man, imagine how that would like coincide with stuff like permanent vengeance or Akrats and such.
Mm. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. If you doubled it, because let's think. Right. I think Akarat's is on a 90-second cooldown, and I
Hmm.
think it's 20 seconds. I don't. It's just I clearly don't ever look at these numbers because it's just like get to your CDR cap and you're good to go.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you doubled it and then you just had like a little bit of CDR, which you would want anyway in your build, it would make things a lot easier. That could be really interesting. I think that might actually push SOJ to be like mandatory in some
For
builds.
some
Some
builds,
builds.
yeah. But then it also what that would end up doing though is freeing up other gearing options. So you'd be giving up one of your rings or your um, one of your cube slots in exchange for having to stack such insanely high CDR.
That's true. Maybe it would actually pay off that way.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, I like it. I like the SOJ ideas that we're getting.
Yeah, so it'd be one of those ones where it's like, what would it be? What you're giving up for that ring slot versus having being able to replace, like half of your CDR with a bunch of other stuff.
All right, yeah, and you gain more power that way by, even though you would make the sacrifice in quotes for the SOJ.
Hmm.
Hmm. All right, let's see. Moving on. His seasonal goal: stash space. He just wants that
It
stash
appears
space.
we are getting a Riker raid right
Uh,
now.
oh no, and Mubai is just handling everyone. Oh
uh,
no.
Bad Mubot, bad.
Stop it, Mubai. Thank you, Riker, for the raid, though. Riker's Raiders. They're here, literally raiding us. The fourth piece from this email is his second pick as a submission for item of the week, Crusader main weapon. So potentially we'll be seeing that in a little bit of time here. Um, he likes it. He was only originally using slash to relive the days of the Zealadin, and he likes the whole hitting twice with the swing. It's a little spoiler on what the item could potentially be, if you can guess. And then next he asks if he can join the clan. His sucks. They're never online. I did see he requested to join, but he's still in his clan. And actually, this is kind of a PSA for everyone that wants to make clan join requests. You have to leave your clan that you're currently in order to be accepted into the clan you're requesting. So it actually is kind of like it's like a gamble, right? Because you're leaving your clan hoping you get into the other one. So maybe if you know that you're going to get in for sure on the other one, then you feel fine leaving, but you
Hmm.
can't be accepted. So it's weird that the system even lets you request to join another one, just because like if someone is moderating their requests, they can't accept you until you're not in. So you shouldn't be able to make a request if you're in a clan, I would think.
But it would also make it so you don't have like that odd experience where you left your clan and you're waiting to get accepted, and so you're sitting there without a clan.
But it you kind of have to do that though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you could be like it might be like a day or two before someone can get back to you in order
Uh,
to approve it or something, and you're kind of stuck, you know, lost and alone,
I see what you're saying.
abandoned in the wilderness.
You made it real. Crying a little bit now.
Dun dun dun.
But yeah, so if you hear this, Ghost Chill, I did send him an email too, but just for anyone in general, if you're trying to join, either I guess catch one of us online when you're about to quit your clan so that we can expedite the process, or just make sure you're not in one when you do request. And then
Hmm.
Bernie, or sorry, Ghost Chill, gave away a name. Oh no,
Oh
Ghost Chill
no.
sent in another email that's got a few more screenshots and an update. Sup, fellas? I noticed you were low on the screenshots, so here are a few more items to share. I'm working towards a Block Chance Blood Brothers build with Rollins. It will probably not be the best, but I like the Rollins set.
Oh,
Quick,
I
yeah,
like that because I like, even though it's not the best, I like Blood Brother. That one's so much fun.
it is. It's an awesome weapon. And okay, moment of vindication by the way, because when I was playing Invokers on the PTR when they first introduced it before season 5 hit,
Hmm.
everyone and their mom, when I was streaming on, I think it was like a Saturday, I got an oddly high number of viewers, maybe just because it was PTR testing. But everyone came in, they're like, "You're using Blood Brother. Why are you using Blood Brother? It's so dumb that you're using Blood Brother. That makes no
Hmm.
sense. Everyone's using Hack. Everyone's using blah blah blah." And what ended up being meta? Blood Brother in Invokers. So you can all suck it. In any case,
I was doing
moving
it
on.
before it was meta.
But it's just like everyone was like getting on my case for experimenting when like that's the whole point of the PTR is to try and find out what's going to be good. Like what's the point of testing something someone else is already anyway.
Moving on, moving on.
Quick update. So he was able to grind his way to the stash space on the Demon Hunter. Oh, he got the no set item level 45 GR done. Racing the clock throughout the whole way, and when that GR Guardian spawned, it was cold snap. Yikes. I thought I was done for, but somehow I managed to kill him in time, and the only change that I made was to swap the Ancient Calamity for a non-ancient Yang's Recurve. Huh.
Hmm,
I guess Legendary
very
Power was
nice.
enough synergy to get him through. I would still like to hear your thoughts on a good non-set build for this conquest. Huh, I guess we still did him that service. But that's awesome that it didn't even require having an ancient one, just the power of multi-shot with that bow.
Hmm. It's really nice. That I mean, uh, especially like just that resource cost reduction, so you can like just get in there and start spamming it. You know,
Oh yeah,
you could
huge DPS output.
yeah, you can go quantity over quality. Oh, but moving on, our next question. This one comes in from Grimlock Grimnaldus. He wanted to go through and let me start with the traditional "Sup, fellas." So you definitely have been a listener for a little while, and he continues on to say, "I've been a listener since the launch of 2.3. Been loving the show. Great job, guys. Keep it up. I've been a Diablo fan since Diablo 1, and I remember many nights taking over my friend's computer just to take on the Butcher. In Diablo 2, I was a Necromancer fanatic. I had many fond memories of my friends Druid and I fighting over corpses, corpse explosion versus corp finds. Ah, good times. I played Diablo 3 off and on, and it really got sucked back into it with Kanai's Cube. Season 5 was my first go at Seasons. I've been playing a Demon Hunter exclusively and have just one conquest to go in order to get my extra stash tab. Trying for the Thrill or Sprinter, the set dungeon conquest is not for me, so tally one more to not liking set dungeons.
Yep.
So if the close of season 5 coming, I have some questions. The items I have in my seasonal cube cube? Do those transfer over to my main account at the end of the season? Also, what happens to my items in my seasonal stash? Yeah, all of your cubed powers will be transferred over onto your main non-seasonal account. So any new items that you've come across that you've added into your cube get added in when the season rollover itself happens. And anything that is stored in your seasonal stash is going to be mailed to you at the end of the season. So when the season itself ends and everything is converted from seasonal to non-seasonal, you'll notice a little mail icon down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and it's going to have all of the items that were in your stash tab. So right before the season ends, generally what a lot of people do is things that they're just holding on to for the sake of holding on to, they'll delete. So that way it's one less
Yeah.
item they have to pull out of the mail and then put back into the stash. Or just throwing items onto your various seasonal characters to keep it from going through and deleting on you. Because you do have a limited amount of time. You have 30 days to go and take all of the gear out of the mail. Otherwise, it just gets flat out deleted. So just
Yeah.
something.
And even sorry, just a quick point. Even during the middle of the season too, because you know how your Hadrix gifts get mailed to you. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't check those in 30 days, like I don't know why it would happen, but I think this is actually something that maybe happened to Crow, one of our writers on Bliss Pro staff. I
Mm-hmm.
think he got one of his Hadrix gifts, didn't realize he had gotten it, and then didn't play for a while. I think he just like straight up lost it. I think it that also applies to those items as well. So even when you're still playing actively during a season, you could actually have some mail lost on you if you don't pay attention to it.
Ouch. That's painful.
Oh yeah,
That is really painful because
two
there's
free
no getting
set
it back.
pieces.
Yeah,
Now
there's no getting
that's
it back.
gone.
It's just gone. It's gone for good. Hadric does not give you a second chance at his gifts.
You get the one shot.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All
Uh,
right. Is that the end of that one?
yep, that is the end.
All right. Let's keep moving. We got more. We have one that's coming in from Halverine. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. He says, "Hi, Leviathan and Nineball. I want to join the Westmarch Workshop clan. My name is Nathan, and I am a mature gamer of 37 years old from Sydney, Australia. I played the demo of Diablo, but it didn't gel with me. And then years later, I picked up Diablo 2 Battle Chest. Ah, yes, that Battle Chest.
Mm-hmm.
With the Lord of Destruction, and I fell in love. Spent uncounted hours in the game, and my main was a bear form druid with an if-LF runed maul. Lost a few hardcore characters too, a couple of assassins and a barb. When D3 launched, I played the hell out of that, but then I got bored. Reaper of Souls came out, and I played it through with a mate of mine, and we had a bunch of fun. More and more cool stuff came out for the game for free. I used to only play a couple of times a month, but now I play every single day. I'm currently working on Conqueror to get that stash tab. I have a few plans, but I better get cracking since the season will be coming to a close soon. Yes, sir. You and everyone else in your boat. I play most other Blizzard games, and I'm in great communities for Hearthstone, WoW, Heroes, but I really want a Diablo community to belong to. And as your podcast is my favorite Diablo show,
Aw.
and your members sound super nice and helpful, I would love to join so that I can get help with my goals and also help others in turn with theirs. Thanks in advance for considering my request. And oh, as another PSA as well, because of course inactivity is inactivity. There are a lot of people who now have reached kind of our um, activity requirement limit.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely have a ton of spaces. So for anyone who's listening and wants to hop on the bandwagon, either for getting into the clan for like season 6 preparation, or just to like you've always wanted to get to the clan but you haven't requested for whatever reason, now is
Or,
probably your best time to get in because
yeah.
we will have a lot of slots.
Or even if you just kind of like dropped off, got bored of the season, and then are coming back for season 6 and want to get back into the clan, by all means, you are more than welcome to go
Abs-
through and reapply.
Absolutely. So yeah, go for it. Now is the time.
Mm-hmm. And let me go through and pull up the next email here. This one is from Lucas. He's taking the hardcore plunge. Hey guys, just wanted to say hello and say I really enjoy listening to your podcast and all the info about what's going on in the Diablo universe. After listening to your show for the past year, I have decided to take the plunge into hardcore next season, and I've recently started a non-seasonal hardcore witch doctor that I've been having a blast with. I love starting fresh in the beginning. The loot hunt is just like when I bought the game. It is so much fun that you really have to pay attention, worry about dying. I plan on rolling a monk with the next season. I played softcore since the launch of Diablo 3 and mostly Witch Doctor, so I'm looking forward to the challenge. If you have any clan spots open, I would love to join. Thanks again for the awesome podcast and all the amazing discussion and info that you provide. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And yeah, as Leviathan was just mentioning, yeah, we do have some spots in the clan now. So go ahead, look us up. We're the Blizz Pro clan. So just we can get you in because obviously in the next couple of weeks it's gonna go back. Once we get to like a couple of days before the season, the wait list for the clan roster is going to get ginormous.
Hmm.
And so if you want in and plan on playing in the season itself, now's the time to get in. You definitely want to make sure that you're playing. So even if you're already a clan member and need to go through and check, once you hit like kind of like that two week inactive mark, is when you kind of are on the edge of getting booted from the clan. So just a little PSA out there for anybody that was wondering.
Right on.
Hmm.
Uh, All right, on to the next email. This one's coming in. I especially wanted to grab this one because this is coming in from one of my, like, probably the second friend that I made in D3 after 9 ball. Um,
Aw.
Seriously, man, this is like memory lane right here. So this comes in from Toe Gaze Nut, who's the guy I was referring to in my original Week in Gaming that I was playing with recently. He says, "Greetings. I've been a listener to the show for about a year now. Last summer, I needed something interesting to listen to while mowing the yard. See, it's true, everyone." And
It's
you
not like I
guys,
totally like just read that and then went through and you referenced it later on in the show. I don't know.
no,
Totally didn't. Totally
no, why would
didn't.
you do that?
Just spitballed that one.
And you guys quenched that need perfectly. It didn't hurt that my buddy Leviathan was co hosting the show occasionally either. I figured I should finally write an email, let you guys know how much I appreciate having a regular podcast available to listen to every week. Yeah, we used to be regular. I hope that you still consider us as a regular podcast. The other one that I listen to doesn't upload regularly, and it's quite a letdown. So thanks for always helping me get my Diablo news fix. So here's a bit about me. I've been playing D3 since about a year after the launch. I never got to play the insanely difficult initial release, but I did know the grind of Normal, Nightmare, Hell, and Inferno. Spent a lot of time on the auction house flipping items to survive, and when they released 1.0.8, I met a lot of my current longtime D3 friends, Leviathan, Osmodius among them. Name drop. That was back in the days of MP10 with the Critical Mass Wizards and Ubers, and probably the last time I played softcore. I think I started playing hardcore during the Ironborn period that I'm 99% certain Leviathan started single handedly. Too much credit. That was actually flipping on over to Archon, who's, I don't know where I'm pointing to because he's not here, but I believe it was Archon actually. At least he was the one who inspired me to do it. I just kind of like became on the Diablo II.net forums, which I guess was still Diablo Inc. gamers back then, became one of the like big mouthpieces for it. Is
Yeah.
that the right word? Like I
I.
was just like trying to get as many people into it, starting
Mhm.
leagues and stuff. Or you were gonna say something? Sorry.
No, no.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, that was back in the day when we were just trying to like galvanize as many people as we could together because it's more fun to do with more people involved in it, and then it kind of really took off from there. And then he says that then led to a proper loot system, which is what we have today, Loot 2.0. When they released Reaper of Souls, I loved all the new changes, especially loved those greater rifts and leaderboards, and the leaderboards that they brought with them. I initially ignored seasons because I was an avid hardcore non-seasonal leaderboard climber. Eras 1, 2, and 3, I managed to rank 5th, 4th, and 2nd respectively. God damn.
Wow.
That's yeah, I didn't realize he was that high that consistently. Season Era 4, I played a little, but I took a break because Veers was the top build. Ugh. I can't stand the set in stone skill slash button selection of Archon, so I played very occasionally, and then Season 5 has been absolutely amazing to play, though. As a wizard main, I can't understand why you would like Season 5.
I don't know.
That
Don't
makes no
know. What
sense.
what did people find in it?
Weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've built several wizards, a demon hunter, a barb, and most recently a crusader, and I'm happy to say I've completed GR70 on all of them but the barb, who is strictly just a support character. My main love is and always will be the wizard, and my goal this season is to beat GR80. So far, I've managed GR75. I also want to reach Paragon 1000, and I'm not too far from that with being at 922. And just tonight, I completed my third conquest, Dynasty, earning me the Guardian Seasonal Journey. I'm
Yeah.
sad that the season's almost over because this has been my favorite by far. Anyway, this is the end of my long-winded email. Keep doing the awesome weekly podcast, and I promise to keep listening. Yours truly, Togazenut, and I will explain the origin of the name some other time.
Some
So,
other time we will definitely be wanting to learn more about it because this episode has turned into a bunch of nuts. So
oh, I didn't even. Nice, look at that little
look at
tie-in.
that. Yeah, we got it. We keep it going.
Oh,
Yay.
oh yeah. But yeah, just a quick like background. But um, that was back. I met Togazenut back in the day when you needed a group of people to do Ubers. Like you could not do Ubers without a critical mass wizard.
Mhm.
That was just freezing everything. So I think he was part of. There was like a small grouping of us that would hop into. Yikes! What was the voice chat? I think we're using TeamSpeak, maybe.
I think it was
Um,
Mumble.
was it Mumble? I think it was Mumble then, yeah. And there were a few of us that would just sit in that chat and just like constantly farm Ubers. Um, and I want to say that he eventually found one of our groups but wasn't in the chat, or he was in the chat. I'm not 100% sure on the origin, but yeah, we ended up playing together a lot. And then the transition to hardcore. I remember I was playing my Demon Hunter with you back right
Mhm.
before Reaper Souls came out. And I felt so sad because Togazenet told me, he was like, when seasons hit, we are going to be separated forever because I don't plan to ever play seasonal. I was just like, man,
Mhm.
like, why not? Come on. And eventually came around, which is good. I guess that
Eventually
proves
saw
that,
the light.
yeah, proves that Blizzard did something right then, I guess, if they converted him finally.
Yay.
Woot woot.
Everything that's conversion. uh, yeah. It's also kind of funny with that one is that was also around like the last time that I played softcore because uh it was towards the end, like I want to say just a couple months after point oh 0.08 that I switched over to hardcore and was going and trying to press on because I wanted to get a little bit of kind of like that experience bonus going into Reaper, of having the Paragon XP switch over
Yeah.
from your Paragon levels.
Yep.
I think the highest that I ever gotten then was only like in the 40s because I kept dying.
Yeah, when it reset.
Yeah, that was, talk about that was like bad, but it was something that you had to do when you went through and play hardcore. It's like back then you lost your Paragon levels as well. So those people that actually put in, like the 1,000 hours or whatever it was in order to get Paragon 100, which was the cap at the time, in a hardcore character, that was one of those ones that's like,
You could lose it all.
damn, it's like,
Yep.
uh, yeah,
Memories. Yeah, I
memories.
remember one of my goals for whatever reason was to get, when they announced that there would be shared Paragon, I wanted to get a second character to Paragon 100 because I had a softcore barb that got there. And so I went and just grinded on the monk. And if you remember, patch 1.0.8 was also the density patch. So they upped density in a lot of different areas. And one of the ones that benefited from it was like the Fields of Misery and that crypt in there. Was it Defiled Crypt, Decayed Crypt, whatever?
Yeah.
So I just did that like ad nauseum, like over and over and over. And as soon as I got that monk to Paragon 100, I switched to hard. I like went back to hardcore. I don't know why I felt compelled to do it, but I never benefited from those Paragon points at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like going back and looking at it, it's funny because I wish that you had a little bit more control over your the web profiles. Because when I go and check my profile online, at the Diablo 3 BattleNet website,
Hmm.
it stacks them by played time.
Yeah.
And I put so much time into my softcore monk that none of my hardcore characters have been able to surpass it. Namely, I could take the easy route and say that it's because seasons and I've had to create new characters all the time.
Oh
But
yeah, seasons.
the truth of it is no, it's because I keep dying. But that's just part of going and playing hardcore. But if with the seasonal rebirths, maybe I'll get there one day. We'll see. But yeah, so the first character you see when you go to my, if you were to go and check my profile online, is a level 70 bunk with 122 Paragon levels and is wearing, like all yellows.
Yellows, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And
you could just delete that monk.
I don't want to.
I know,
So many
I know,
memories.
I know. It took me a long time before I
It
deleted my bard.
yeah, it was like so many memories. It was just like, like 600 some odd hours of playtime on that character.
I hear you.
Yep. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But continuing on, we're almost at the end of our community feedback section here, so I want to take this next email that comes in from Netmasher. Sup, fellas? One of my season's goals was to make the leaderboard. I've not been able to do that since season 2, and the other night I finally managed to do it with a Greater Rift level 76 clear at 10 minutes and 32 seconds with my Rod or Demon Hunter after failing at least a dozen times. For those with the same goal, I'd like to share my story with you. I started pushing with Unhallowed Essence Demon Hunter, but I hit a wall at around Greater Rift 70 with my gear. I switched over to M6 and started to augment my gear with level 70 gems that I had until everything but my Hellfire Amulet, which I cannot find an ancient crit damage Hellfire with any useful passive so far. Um, but I barely completed Greater Rift 75 with my fully augmented gear. Seeing other clan members able to clear 77 and beyond, I had a good feeling at the level that my gear was. So I tried 77s and failed miserably. I can maintain progress with trash mobs, but elites would just cause me to fall behind, even when I had shrines. The closest I got was reaching the Rift Guardian with 2 minutes left, but Perdition wrecked me. Since then, over a dozen Greater Rift 77 attempts were met with abject failure in the 18 to 22 minute range. One evening, after a few speed runs to level up some lower level gems, I had one key left. So I opened up a Greater Rift 77, and it was the Queen of Aranai map with an elite that greeted me right at the door. My thoughts immediately were just auto fail. However, my pets blocked the narrow hallway and prevented the elites from reaching me. I took out the elites with 5 sentries positioned right at the narrow hallway as it opens up into the map. Two more elites among several unburied appeared, and they were slowed and jammed at the end of the hallway, and I bursted them down within a minute. Remarkably, elite after elite continued to show up at regular intervals at the
Oh, the
choke point,
dream.
only to be blocked by geography and pet. Bursted down with the assist of area damage amongst the trash mobs, and the sentries at the door kept re-aggroing mobs to maintain density and progression. Remarkably, I sneaked a glance at the progress bar and found myself over 50% completion with only 25% of the time being spent. My luck ran out, however, when I ran out of mobs and I attracted 2 yellow summoner champions after stepping out into the hallway. In the far corner was a pylon, and it happened to be a shield one. Risking death, I vaulted through the elite packs and grabbed the pylon, bursting both elites down with relative safety. Running out of mobs, I proceeded to the next level. Unfortunately, it was one of those auto fail the Act 5 latest mazes. It's when you're inside the Rift, the Portal Guardian,
Oh, yeah.
in Battlefields of Eternity, that one map that everyone just loves to hate. Another champion pack greeted me right at the entrance, but so did a channeling pylon. So I was immediately able to set up my 5 sentries despite having changed levels, and was able to maintain my progress until Ember spawned. By that time, I had 8 minutes left, with plenty of time to take down the Guardian for completion. The feeling of "don't screw this up" did not abate until I had the completion screen disappear. I was even successful in upgrading my Taiguk from level 77 to level 77 from 75. Given that my previous Greater of 77 attempts were essentially the same exact gear and Paragon levels were taking me 22 minutes, I ended up having a sub 11 minute clear was almost unbelievable. While I'm not a fan of this much of RNG, I'm now a firm believer that there are clearable rifts and unclearable rifts. For those
Oh, yeah.
players looking to push higher and make the leaderboards, keep trying. You'll need to go through at least a dozen rifts before one opens up that's clearable. When the opportunity presents itself, go for it. Have fun, Netmasher.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny because I have a running joke with Mikey whenever I stream, and I usually comment on the different GRs that I'm in. I'm like, oh, this is a good one. This is crappy population, good density, et cetera, et cetera. But we always talk about the Unburied and the Goatman as the dream, and that sounds like what he got for that first four. So they
Hmm.
just give you so much progress, and usually are pretty easy to deal with elites. Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, and that's also just how I feel like when you're in one of the kind of like one of the tighter maps, being able to block off everything with marauders. They just can't
Hmm.
get through the pets, and you can sit there and DPS with relative safety.
It's a beautiful thing. True range.
Hmm.
Wizards everywhere be jelly.
Totes jelly.
All right, and I have the last email to wrap it up, and we're actually caught up on emails. What?
Yay!
I feel so accomplished. Happy birthday to us.
Happy
Uh,
birthday indeed.
yes, this one's coming in from El Chialde. It says, "G'day, WMW. Just thought I would send a list of every awesome item I got this season, so potentially incoming screenshot. I just can't seem to find Ramaladni's gifts for the Manticore I found. I have yet to find an Ancient Yang's recurve as well. It's probably because you are looking for the wrong item. You should be trying to find out on McDonald's, right? No, I'm probably just confusing everyone. I'm currently just barely completing GR60, and I'm wondering if you have any tips for pushing higher. You talk about skipping packs on the podcast, but I don't know how to put that into practice since I tend to kill everything I come across. My goals at the beginning of the season was to achieve Paragon 600 and that sweet, sweet stash tab and the Dragon Wings. I've completed Conqueror as of today, and I achieved Paragon 600 yesterday. Now I'm working towards getting the wings. I have Demon Hunter complete, Witch Doctor complete, Crusader in progress, and I've also been aiming for the Dynasty Conquest one set to go. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. So to answer the question, I think it's a little tougher for Demon Hunters in particular because you really can't skip stuff a lot. Like you vault through, but it's so dangerous because since you're like we were actually just saying, since you're a ranged class, you tend to want to kite if things get really hairy. And if
Yeah,
you have skipped stuff behind you, you have nowhere to kite to, so you could actually be just kiting back to your impending death.
yeah. That's always like the big thing to learn is like to even if you have to go back through mobs that you want to always kite to areas that you've cleared already, because you know that you might only run into a couple things that you might have missed or killed, and so if you're skipping through things, it becomes really dangerous because you have no safe place to kite. You just have a train of mobs that are coming through and following behind you.
Exactly. And it's not like the thing like Vault isn't like Steed Charge in the way that it creates separation because you vault, but you're still picking up aggro.
Hmm.
Whereas like if you Steed Charge, you can clear several screens before the Steed is over, and you might actually leave the aggro of monsters behind, especially if they're like around a corner or something. Like they just might not follow. But I find that if you do try and vault through stuff, like by the time you stop to assess where you're at, like you're just bringing a train of things behind you anyway. It gets difficult to skip.
Hmm.
So, unfortunately, it's a little bit tougher. But I think one thing to at least try and pay attention to is when you're killing things inside of GRs, note what gives you more progression. Like, pretty much the rule of thumb is if it has a lot of health, it'll give you a lot of return on the kill. Um, for some instances, though, unless they're grouped together, like let's say it's a lot of I'm gonna like totally AFK on all the names of these things, but like Punishers, if it's like a group of
Hmm.
Punishers or a group of Unburieds, for instance, like you want to kill those because they're each worth a lot of progression, and since you're usually using AOE skills, you'll be killing a lot of them at the same time.
Yeah,
But
you'll
if
be
it's
burning
just
them down at the same time.
exactly, but if it's just one fatty by itself, even though it's going to give you a lot of progression, you're only killing one enemy. So it's
Hmm.
not going to be worth your time. Whereas you can go and find better density, even like better density of lower progression mobs would potentially eke out better efficiency within that greater rift than just concentrating on like the one or two big mobs around you. But you learn like as you do more and more GRs, if you like are consistently paying attention while you're doing it, you'll start to get a feel for like which populations are good, which you can kind of kite and bring into like create your own density and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, it is one of those ones. It's just like with experience, you almost get like this secondary feel for it about what's worth more. And like you mentioned, like Goatmen or Berserkers are another one that are pretty good. Their health relative to the progression that they give.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do believe that finishes up our community feedback section. And we did have one more email here that from Henry that I believe he sent in an image. So let me go through and check this. What
surprised you're actually going to show
what
this.
what the hell is that? An abomination. I just had to. I absolutely had to. Someone put some time and effort into it.
It's pretty good.
For those that are on iTunes, I am not going to say the name. If you want to describe it, I'll let you.
It's a photoshopped poster of the next Star Wars movie, Rogue One, with Jar Jar all over it. It's beautiful, actually. It
Yep.
looks like it's going to be a really great film. I can't wait for it to come out December 16th.
Yep. We have different definitions of beautiful. That's for certain.
Hey,
Uh,
beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
and beholders have a lot of eyes, which you do not want to look into because some of them can disintegrate and turn you to stone. A D&D joke. Never
Gotcha.
mind. Moving on, and so now we will go and take it to everybody's favorite section, items of the week.
Weak, weak, weak.
Uh, and this one, we're starting this one off with an item of whoa, sent
Whoa,
in to us by Andrews. It's a wand of whoa.
whoa.
That goes and clocks in at 3050 DPS. It came with 9% extra damage, 910 intelligence, has been re-rolled to reduce the cooldown of all skills by 10%, increases explosive blast damage by 89%, with the secondary properties of plus 13 maximum arcane power, and of course the legendary property of 3 additional explosive blasts are triggered after casting explosive blast, and a Ramalani ding dongs for a socket in there.
That's a really nice one.
Yep. We don't. I love the wand of whoa,
Whoa.
despite the throwback references there.
That's
Next.
it was one of the really first, like, not to use a term that is used elsewhere, but like one of the first like unhollowed weapons. Like you wanted your what is it? Furnace, your wand of
Mhm.
woe, your star metal. It was kind of like in that atmosphere of super hard to get,
Yeah,
really powerful weapon.
the really super rare, hard to get weapons, and at the time, it competed with Furnace, which not a lot of classes had access or an option other than Furnace to go and play around with.
Indeed.
Our next item was sent in. This was one of the ones that Ghost Chill had sent in because he sent in quite a few, and we normally only go through and pick one to find the best. This one is an ancient Stalgrod's Decimator. I went through and picked this one because it's not something that we see a lot. It's just a weird, quirky little weapon, and I like showing off some things because maybe people get bored with the wands of woe and the furnaces and the Yang's recurves and such. So we'll
Right.
go through because this bad boy clocks in at 4,303 DPS, has been re-rolled for 9% weapon damage, 1,322 strength, 1,449 vitality, the secondary property of a 2.7% chance to fear on hit, and the legendary property of your melee attacks throw a piercing axe at the nearby enemy dealing 633% weapon damage as physical, with a Ronald McDonald's for a socket.
Yeah, pretty good stuff. That was the weapon that he was referring to in his email about throwing out the extra weapons and axes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And this next one comes out from Uluru, who has this Hergbrash's Binding. This is the ancient legendary belt that he comments is, rolled near perfect on it. This one came with 641 intelligence, 641 vitality, 14% life, has been re-rolled to have 508 armor, has been augmented for 375 intelligence by sacrificing a level 75 gem. The secondary property of it increases gold and health pickup range by 2 yards and reduces the arcane power cost of Arcane Torrent, Disintegrate, and Ray of Frost by 64%.
It's funny. I was looking at the armor roll and I was like, armor? But then I realized, yeah, wizard item.
Yeah.
Obviously, armor way better than all rest.
Yep, for the int classes, they just are going to have so much resist base that they get more out of rolling for armor stats than they do all resists.
The more you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Yep. And then we have this ancient Kreider shot, always a beautiful item, being sent in from being sent in from Netmasher. This one is clocking in at 3,428 DPS. Is rerolled the base damage on it in order to get the number that high. Came with plus 10% weapon damage, 838 dexterity, reduces the cooldown of all skills by 7%, plus 11 maximum discipline, and of course the legendary property of elemental arrow generating 4 hatred. And of course, and a little Ronald McDonald's for a socket there.
There it is. A true screenshot once again.
Yes, this one you can see the reflection of him taking the picture of the screen.
Gotta love it.
Hmm.
Crider shot. I mean, so the meticulous bolts got reworked in 2.4.1
Hmm.
to be an item that bolsters all of the runes on elemental arrow. And I was hoping that it would be the kind of thing that brings Crider Shot back into the mix, just because it's a cool weapon that we don't really use anymore as demon hunters.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I think because Ball Lightning is such good AoE, and then Ice Arrow or whatever the
Yeah,
ice one
Frost
is,
Arrow. Yeah.
Frost Arrow is kind of the next best option. All the other ones just don't have enough AoE to make them like interesting enough, or I
Hmm.
guess efficient enough, I should say. They're interesting on their own, but they're not as efficient, so you don't kill as much with them. So it's a bummer because I really don't see Crider Shot fitting in anywhere unless they buff that quiver even further, or I don't know.
Or buff Crider Shot and give it the like plus damage plus elemental arrow damage
Ah,
because otherwise it has to compete with Manticore and Cluster Arrow or Chakrams and Lord Greenstone's Fan. There's just not enough to compete with the amount of damage that you can put out with either of those builds.
exactly.
Well, going and continuing on, our final email here is from El Chialde. And he also sent in a couple of items, and this one is, we just went through and picked one of them. We've not seen many of the Demon Hunter melee weapons, so I wanted to go through and give that a little bit of love with this beautifully rolled Ancient Lord Greenstone's Fan. Um, and sorry, I got that confused in the last one. It wasn't Greenstone's Fan. I was looking at this next item that was coming up. The Chakram build uses the Sword
Oh,
of
the
Ill
sort of
Will.
ill will. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't even
so
catch that.
so sorry. Um, but this clocks in at 2,801 DPS. Rolled with 10% weapon damage, 852 dexterity, has been re-rolled to reduce the cooldown of all skills by 8%, with the secondary property of monster kills grant 224 experience, and every second you gain an 81% increased damage for your next fan of knives, stacking up to 30 times with Ronald McDonald's for a socket in there. And Lord Greenstone's Fan, already one of the top builds up there is the Legacy of Nightmares set for Demon Hunters. Is the Strafe Fan of Knives build that revolves around this dagger. And in the next patch, it's getting buffed considerably because
Oh yeah,
they're capping the damage bonus instead of at 100%, they're capping it at 200% per stack for the Fan of Knives.
that's gonna be crazy. So lots of DPS things to look forward to for Demon Hunters. It seems like just
Yeah.
across the board, most of their changes were just here's more damage.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. I know I didn't see a lot of testing for it for Hal Shadows with some of the Shadows buffs that the set itself got combined with this. I think that the strafe build is still just going to end up being better with the Legacy of Nightmares, but we'll have to check and see how Shadows will compete with this. Basically, because the biggest holdback on it is their ability to AOE clear white mobs in order to get them down. And with a big buff, to the Greenstone's Fan, will Fan of Knives be able to go through and do enough damage with the Shadows set in order to let it compete with the others?
Hmm.
Mainly like Marauders, UE is up there as well as the Strafe build.
Right.
Yeah, and with that, that will actually bring us to a close of our community section for tonight's episode. And so again, definitely like to go through and thank you everybody that's a listener to the show. Here on our anniversary, that it's like you guys, not only give us a lot of content, to go and talk about and show off and tell your stories, but you all make it worth doing. Just going and hearing people that love listening to the show, as we've heard in the emails that we read here tonight. Every time that I hear that, I just feel inspired to continue to go through and keep doing this. So thank you a lot for going and continuing to be a fan of the show. And it's like, just if you want to continue to go through and support us, I just have to go and say that the BlizzPro, we just recently got partnered on Twitch, so we actually do have a little subscribe button now that if you want to go
Woohoo!
through and support not only our show but all the other wonderful shows that we go through and have on the BlizzPro network, go ahead, stop on by, and you can, if you want to. We're getting, I think we're only a couple more subscribers away from getting additional emotes, and you're going to see a clam chat emote here in the near future. We hope. So be on the lookout for that one. But of course, our first emote had to be our wonderful DJ Tyrant and his infamous "Stay Tight" uh, quote from the Heroes stream that he did. Um, I shouldn't say stream, event that he went through and did. But yeah, while you're going through and over here, you can go through and check us out here on twitch.tv/BlizzPro. We're on every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. While you're here, you can go through, click that follow, click that subscribe button, and check out the rest of the wonderful shows on our network that you can go and check out. Sundays, we have the Well Met podcast where we talk about all things Hearthstone. Tuesday nights is Heroes Power Hour, where we go through and cover Heroes of the Storm. Wednesday nights is us here going through and covering Diablo. And Thursday nights is the Payload, our Overwatch podcast. So go through and check that out, and see everything that we have to offer. A lot of the articles and comments that we talk about, you can also find some more in-depth info at diablo.blizzpro.com, our home site there. We're also in game. You can check us out. We're the BlizzPro clan. We have some opening spaces right now, and as we get closer to the season and into season 6, we're going to have an extensive wait list. So if you can't get into the clan or you don't want to leave your current clan, you can also join us at the Westmarch Workshop community. So you can still chat with us and play with your own circle of friends. If you want to send in items or comments or just any general feedback to the show itself, you can drop us an email at westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. Again, that email address for submitting your items of the week or your community feedback is westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the WM Workshop if you want to go and send us tweets of your ideas or your items. Occasionally, we're also you can chat with us, when we go through play or when Leviathan is streaming at discord.blizzpro.com. You also hang out with other, BlizzPro community members and writers there as well. You can also follow us individually. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at 9ballgamer. You can follow Leviathan here at SAStewart111, and you stream from time to time, don't you?
Yes, sir, over on twitch.tv/Leviathan111, and I will commit to getting back to that once season 6 starts up. And I will be, and actually, what I want to do this, we'll talk about seasonal plans because I think we should definitely start to do some of the, how to prepare for season 6 and conquest strats and stuff like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
will say that I plan to be in the Discord for Blizz Pro through pretty much the entirety of season 6, trying something a little different this time.
Yep, totally. And then Thunderclaw is already going through and making jokes about the consistency of our show so far. Uh, but yes, with that, we will be closing it out here. Are there any final thoughts or comments that you'd like to make?
Stay tight.
Stay, t- Stay tight, everybody. Ah, nuts.
A dick.